Can they hear me? They hear me live out there. Next beat. That ain't the beat I wanted to.
Those was wood
another
beats
beat.
right
Another
there.
beat. Nope. Give me another beat. Give me another beat. Nope. That's not it. Next beat. That's the beat. Turn it up.
Oh, word.
Turn it up. I gotta hear it a little louder. Can you make it louder than my headphones? Turn me up in my headphones. I'm still stuck in the 80s/90s. Lottos, kangaroo boots, nanny ghosts, Velas, jumpsuits and troops, Junos, color Levi's, Bugs Bunny sweaters with the rhinestone ring on it. Fighting and making up the next day. Nobody getting shot. Working or hustling to get it or get got. We had love for the streets, our family, our foes, our friends. For the elderly, pager/payphone, sneaking into Adams Theater, watching Crush grooving tougher than leather, hopping gates out the college port to bank out, cause you don't wanna get caught at mom's crib or at Von's crib, eating funny dinner with the fam, church every Sunday, 8 o'clock a.m., and even if I fell asleep in the back row or played sick, no matter what, man, I still had to go. 80s, baby, he's a DJ, I'm the rapper. He's a DJ, I'm the rapper. 80s, baby. He's a DJ, I'm the rapper. He's a DJ, I'm the
Welcome, everybody. This is the X-Cast, episode number 48 of the X-Cast, to be exact. We are coming at you tonight. It's day 4,749 in the search for Tim Chevelday. We have a special episode tonight that is designed for all you nerds out there. All you big-time nerds, all you big-time geeks. If you're not a nerd, don't turn this off yet. But then again, you're listening to a podcast. You're a nerd. Face it. Deal with it, everybody. I'm Josh Houselander, your host. As always, we have our producer, Adam Hernandez, behind the boards and behind the mic. And also tonight, we have a very special guest, future podcaster, enormous nerd, Brad Davis. What is up, Brad? How you doing, man?
Pretty good. You know, enormous in a couple ways. 6'5", so you know,
Yeah.
maybe I can, maybe just kind of think about that way.
Yeah, you can throw it down. You know,
Right.
Are you only saying? I thought you were like 6'7".
No, looks can be deceiving kind of with that thing, but
Okay.
I've been going to the gym a lot, so maybe maybe
Right on.
I've been intimidating a little bit more.
Okay,
but,
right
you know.
on. Yeah, I was gonna say I thought you're about 6'7", but I mean I'm like 4'7", so everybody kind of looks like they're 6'7" to me.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, yeah, you're a big dude, so you're definitely allowed to be a nerd.
Right.
Like, you know,
know.
if you can be like the nerdiest guy in the world. You could be wearing like a Bert and Ernie T-shirt. And like,
Yeah, I don't know about that,
yeah,
but
you know, you could be wearing a Queen Amidala hat or something.
well,
At a place, and no one's gonna talk crap. They know you can throw down.
in high school, I did wear a Darth Vader helmet for homecoming court. You know, I was on the homecoming court, so that was kind of my trade-off. You know, it was,
Right on.
It was right after the Disney merger there, so it was able to count towards one of the Spirit Week things.
Okay, so was that like is that like kind of like being like a Disney princess?
Yeah,
Just
you
like a
had to pick like a
prince?
Disney character or something like
okay.
that. You know,
Right on.
I had one of those disturbing horse masks. You know, those things. It's got the dead eyes on it. So I just kind of played off of like, what is Seabiscuit? Isn't that isn't that a Disney movie?
Probably
you know?
is.
Just
yeah.
an excuse to like everybody's like, oh my god, one of those things. You know,
That was a good movie.
Seabiscuit?
Yeah, I like that movie.
I haven't seen that one in years.
I've never seen it.
Oh, that's a great movie. It's not as good as some other movies, though. It is not as good as the Star Wars films, which is our topic of conversation tonight.
They go hand in hand, really.
They do. They do. Oh, they're so much alike. Seabiscuit. Yeah, I mean, Seabiscuit's a horse that they ride, and Luke rode a tauntaun. So
Right.
There's your connection.
yeah, it's
Full
that.
circle.
Yep. I thought they smelled bad on the outside.
Right.
Um,
Well, you seen The Revenant?
no, I didn't see that one.
Well, good connection between that is Leonardo DiCaprio's character, can't think of the name, but to survive the cold, cuts open a horse, climbs right inside.
No kidding.
Yeah, survives the night.
Oh man, so that's a thing.
So-
That is a thing.
Yeah, you know, I would have never thought that's true. I mean, maybe I wouldn't have tried it on like a real life tauntaun or anything like
it's
that.
messier
but-
too if you don't have a lightsaber. If you don't have
Doesn't
a lightsaber.
cauterize right away.
Yeah, if you
you
don't
know?
like to slice that open, but yeah, that's cool. But you know, and the thing is, we're not even just talking about Star Wars tonight. We're talking about Star Wars theories. For those of you out there that don't know what the hell a Star Wars theory is there are these exist for other movies too. And if we have time, we might even branch into them. There's some great Batman ones. There's some great there's some great ones out there. But we're gonna, for the most part, probably stick with Star Wars tonight. But basically, there are theories out there that fans, nerds, people such as us,
Scholars.
Scholars, if you will, have uncovered over the years. Some of these, every one of these, by the way, there are some that I really get behind. There are some that I think are garbage. There are some I don't really care about either way. I didn't make these up, though. None of these theories are theories I made up. We could do a show about theories I've made up, but no one would listen to it.
Jon Snow is a Skywalker.
It wouldn't matter. No one would want to hear it. So we're going to kind of try to break down some of these Star Wars theories that other people have talked about over the years.
Through the grapevine.
Adam is a Star Wars geek. Not nearly as much, though, as some, though.
Probably not as much as you guys, but yes.
You definitely dig your Star Wars.
I love Star Wars. Star Wars is, whenever anybody tries to make mention, okay, what's better, Star Wars or Star Trek? If to me, it's no contest. It's Star Wars, 100%, 7 days a week, 365, a year. So it's no comparison. In fact, I'm not even a big fan of. I don't even like Star Trek. Really.
Yeah, it's not really my thing.
What kind of nerd would like something like that? Bunch of losers. Right?
I know, but you know what I like. Now that you guys, now that you're talking to me here about this, you know what I like about Star Wars more than I like about Star Trek?
What's that?
I like the aspect that it's not. There's kind of like a medieval aspect to it, you know? Like, technology is a thing, but it's not everything in the Star Wars universe.
Sure. Oh, I mean, yeah, and that's what's cool about Star Wars is that great technology exists. Mm-hmm. Great technology and great spirituality exists, but like in a real world, just because these things exist doesn't mean that everybody has it.
Yeah. Exactly.
I mean, and the term that film geeks use a lot is a used future.
Yeah,
that
makes sense because it's like 20,000th year of being able to go through space, but everybody's aware of that, but it's just something that exists in the world,
right? I mean, and
it's not all new.
Look at the Millennium Falcon. The Millennium Falcon
is a piece of trash.
Yeah, I mean, it does something that not anything on Earth can do. It can achieve light speed. You can just pop in and fly to another planet. You can do it, but it's like an RV though. I mean, it's trashed. I mean, the guy, looks like you see like Han and Chewie's dirty laundry and stuff. It's old. It's old. It's got doors that things look dirty. They look like they've been there a while.
It's very much like an RV. He was using it to smuggle drugs and all that sort of thing, cross borders.
Exactly.
Exactly. A lot of allegories.
So I mean, and that used future is probably something that you've heard if you took a community college film class like I did many years ago. But I'm just gonna kind of jump into it with some of these, and I don't know which one of these we're gonna really break down and which one of these we're just gonna kind of blow off. But there are some of these that I think are really cool. One that I actually admit, I think this one is cool. And I am not 100%, even though it would really screw with your mind on things you think you know about Star Wars. I'm not totally sold on this idea that this one's total bunk, even though this is one of the ones that if you go on YouTube or go on Reddit and people break it down, this is one people just hate this one. They hate it. They're just like, that's stupid. That's dumb. You're an idiot. I take it you haven't seen the movies. But these are the type of replies. But this one is that Yoda was really dead all along in the original trilogy. Is this one that is?
I've never heard this one actually before.
You've told me about this one, Josh, and to me, I don't get it. like what's the point? It seems like there's a bunch of different theories out there where there's a point to it.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah, that doesn't really change the story too much.
Exactly. And I know we're gonna get to the one about the Palpatine one, and when he's talking to, I'm assuming we're gonna get to it when he's talking to Anakin,
right?
During that show. But there's a point to that one, and there's a point to a lot of them. But for me in this one, there's no point to it because Lucas already made it known in the Empire Strikes Back that Jedi can contact you after they're dead.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
If that was the case, why would Lucas not just do that with Yoda?
Sure.
I like what's the point? Like what just have Yoda appear like that, appear like how Obi-Wan did in the second one and in the third one, and call it a day.
Okay, the basis behind this theory. The basis behind this one.
There's no basis to it. It's a skit and it's stupid.
No. The basis behind this one is that, that in between Episode 3 and Episode 4, Palpatine sends Vader on a big Jedi hunt.
Mm-hmm.
He wipes out everybody. They know about Yoda. They know Yoda's
their
alive.
number one guy, probably.
I mean, Yoda is the most powerful Jedi in the galaxy. They know about Yoda. They know he's out there. They know he takes off. He doesn't have a lightsaber.
Mm-hmm.
He goes to Dagobah to hide out. The idea is that Vader finds him. Vader finds him and kills him. And because he has this unfinished business, it's out there. Otherwise, why aren't they still looking for Yoda? And when Vader sees Luke later on and repeats to him, Obi-Wan has taught you well.
Mm-hmm.
Vader is very surprised that Obi-Wan could have taught Luke so much, such a short period of time. You blow this off when you were a kid before the prequels came off, because you don't know that Darth Vader and Emperor Palpatine knew who Yoda was.
Right,
but now you know that they do know that who Yoda was.
Yeah, because
they do know that Yoda exists.
The original trilogy is kind of written out to where Yoda's just kind of this other being that's never really explained. He was Obi-Wan's master, but he never really claimed, like, yeah, Darth Vader never mentions him, Palpatine never mentions him.
I mean, it never occurs to them once, oh crap, he must have found Yoda.
Mm-hmm.
If he learned all this junk, he must have found Yoda. Then you see Luke. He goes into the cave.
Mm-hmm.
Right? He goes into the cave, fight, and who's there? Well, it's Vader, which is Luke's mind, right? That's what we always think. That's what's in Luke's mind. Or is that the battle being played out that occurred between Vader and Yoda that is played out over and over again because that's where Vader killed Yoda?
Could be, but I mean, there's like extra like strikes to it. Like there's a back and forth, that sort of thing, where it shows that Vader loses. So I mean, obviously he's being affected by what Luke is seeing.
Very true.
Because like I'm sure that Yoda didn't fight Darth Vader, cut off his head, and then Luke was in there, was like, oh, what's all this?
Sure.
So in that way, I don't really see how that holds water. And in my own mind, I kind of think that like Vader just could not stand a chance against Yoda.
Even if Yoda didn't have his lightsaber, though.
That's if anything, that just weakened Yoda as as a character, really.
I also kind of feel like one of the things that they bring up, one of the things that like the YouTubers have brought up in support of this theory is, how come Yoda doesn't have a lightsaber? And then instantly people are like, did you watch episode 3?
Yeah,
he loses it.
He lost it.
He lost his lightsaber.
They wrote a comic about that, actually, that they did. Palpatine destroyed it for whatever reason. Just to destroy the trophy or whatever.
Yeah, why not? Why not?
Can he get another lightsaber, though?
Well, that's part of this theory. How come he didn't make a new lightsaber? Reason is because he's dead. He's not really there. He's not there to teach lightsaber things. It's all in Luke's mind. It's a Force ghost. Or they don't have kyber crystals on Dagobah.
Yeah.
Which to me is
the more plausible.
Yeah, I mean, and he's also in like a created exile there. There's not really too much reason for him to be doing that.
I mean, he had to run quick. In Star Wars canon, the only place to get the Well, there is more places to get the kyber
Yeah, well,
crystals.
yeah. Now you can get them at Jeddah.
Yeah, you can get them in other places, but what is the? Do you happen to know off the top of your head the Think Back to the Clone Wars cartoon with
Ilum.
Luminara and Ilum? Okay,
Yep.
Ilum is the place where you can go get the kyber crystals, and what they've kind of said now in canon is there are all these different colors of kyber crystals,
Mhm.
but Ilum, which is kind of like the sacred place where the Jedis go,
Right.
that place is just ugly with blue and green ones.
Mm.
Which is why 99% of your Jedi have either a blue or a green lightsaber.
Okay.
Where Mace Windu, they claim, actually. Other Jedis do have other lightsabers. Some non-canon now, some in Legacy, some
Right.
canon. They break it down. Supposedly as one of the, which I believe has been labeled as canon, one of the stories goes that Mace Windu actually did find that purple crystal on Ilum.
Like it was just one of the few.
Right,
that-
it was like
it's
extremely
a really
rare.
rare
Like
one.
they had seen purple
It's a-
ones before. They usually came up in other places.
Right.
But he actually did find
This is
a
what-
purple
Yeah,
one.
you see
on
one like
Ilum.
that, it's like, oh,
Yeah.
you gotta get that.
Found it as a youngling,
Right.
which people really thought wow, he's something special,
Mhm.
or he's just lucky. He's the kid that tripped over the purple one. I mean,
Or he's Sam M.F. Jackson, like
exactly. He screwed up George Lucas's purple screen.
Do you think that there's a registry too for lightsabers? So maybe that's another reason why Yoda didn't get one.
Probably, yeah. I mean, you can imagine that the Empire is going to throw some major status bullshit at you.
Mm.
They're not gonna.
That's
they're
what
not
I'm-
gonna respect. They're not gonna have any kind of Second Amendment, which I'm sure there was probably a legit Second Amendment in the Republic Constitution. But Palpatine's going to throw that out. He probably threw that out as Chancellor, to be honest. For the
Yeah, it's
security
like,
of the people,
yeah,
we have to take away your guns.
I think that's
You
what
know-
I'm going to try to do tonight. I'm going to try to get Josh going on all these different libertarian tangents tonight.
Which is ridiculous because he's.
I mean, there's really
Adam
broad
loves to get-
strokes,
Adam loves to get me on so and Constitution tangents, but when I'm talking Constitution on this show, which we do all the time, he constantly gets me to go off on Star Wars. So this is like the one night where I'm supposed to be talking Star Wars, and we're gonna end up talking
There's so
about
many
like serious
broad
issues.
political strokes, Like
There is.
anybody
is.
can be entertained, but you can see a bleeding heart liberal be like, "Oh, well, that's great," or whatever because of. I can't even think of anything, but there's it's in there, but you can see the huge libertarian values and the empire or whatever, they're taking away people's rights, and that's what's causing them to rebel up, and that's what's causing them to form a actual democracy where people are getting and voting for their representatives, and that's what kind of comes back out of from when the new republic is formed, that sort of thing.
One thing I think is funny is that I think people watch the Rebellion in Star Wars, and they also do this. The prime example of this is the Captain America movies.
Mhm.
Everybody thinks that Captain America and that Princess Leia and the Rebels share their politics. Everybody thinks that. Democrats watch that and think like, oh, it looks like some evil Republicans took over the empire, and,
Right, yeah, they're
and now we need some good liberal ideology
they're
here.
fascists,
And then-
so that must mean right?
And then the Republicans watch it and be like, yep, bunch of liberal sissies took over the galaxy. About time somebody put the smack down. Where you at, Han Solo?
And maybe that is the genius behind it.
Which I mean, no matter what you think, though, regardless what you think, you can make an argument for the politics of Princess Leia or Admiral Ackbar or Padme Amidala, but Han Solo is a libertarian.
Right.
Okay, that is legit. Okay.
No, he's not.
He worked for everything he ever got, and he fought, and he earned that right with the end of his blaster. Like, there's what more can you?
Right. I mean, I know that Chewie probably has some kind of more traditional conservative Kashyyykian values.
There are no subsidies going to his shop,
Exactly. He makes money. The old-fashioned way. He's under the radar. He's off the grid. He carries a gun.
Pure
He is-
capitalism, He's all about it.
One that is kind of I can see that you guys are not on board with the Yoda.
I just can't believe that. At
No,
all.
like I said, I don't understand the logic behind it.
Yeah, I can see where the case
It's a
is made.
stretch. It's a big stretch.
I can see where the case is made, but then it just like you were saying earlier, why?
Well, I feel like, and I do feel like so much of it was based on why didn't Yoda do this? Why didn't Yoda? But they show you.
Mhm.
They show you why he didn't. You know?
Right.
He's hiding. He's hiding on a
With
planet
900
somewhere.
years old, you really look as good. You were not.
Right. And,
Right.
and the idea that, I mean, they say, oh, why aren't Vader and Palpatine just constantly looking for Yoda? Well, maybe they did, but they know Yoda got a little jacked up. They know he was, let's throw some math out here, 878 or something.
Yeah, something about that.
You know, when that happened.
Mhm.
So they're like, well, maybe he finally did,
Just
die.
yeah,
I
it's
mean,
go to some hole and
yeah, I mean, he must have.
It's a little toad guy,
Yeah, he must be dead at this point. Otherwise, why hasn't he resurfaced?
And one thing about Star Wars is that it always makes the galaxy seem really small, but it's
Oh, it's
really
enormous.
big. Yeah,
It's enormous.
same size as ours. I would
One
imagine,
quick
yeah.
one. I don't have a ton to say about this, but just to stay on the Dagobah track
Mm.
is that the Force, or the big time Force users such as Yoda, can alter time.
Hmm.
This goes to the idea that time was altered on Dagobah, and it gives credence to the idea of how did Luke become so powerful so fast. That did Yoda slow down time and in essence provide Luke with what seemed to Luke like 5 years of training
Right,
in 5 weeks,
right.
which they never do actually say.
They never say
how
how
long he's
that
there,
was,
and
but that was
It's not crazy to think that Empire Strikes Back, for instance,
Right.
that movie takes place over 8 months.
right.
It's not crazy at all
Yeah.
to think that. I mean,
Yeah, because
they're
because-
lost with no light speed.
Yeah,
For
in
how
space. Well, and like even that they have like a backup one, but that goes like 0.5 the speed or something like that because they don't move at the speed of light speed. It's just that's what they say. And I've read a bunch of tech manuals on this sort of thing. They're actually many thousands times faster than light speed.
0.5
Speed
past
light.
light speed.
Yeah, like that's just like the term that they use. It's actually many thousands of times faster because otherwise they'd never get across the galaxy
Well,
in a day or something like that.
Think about it.
yeah.
I mean, when you're already achieving those kind of speeds, you're going 186,000 miles a second. That's
Right.
light speed. So then 0.5 of that. Now, you're really throwing more speed on there at this point.
Right.
0.5 of light speed is faster than anything has ever traveled
Right,
in our
right.
real world. But I kind of like that idea that I don't buy into this. Actually, I should say the idea
I
that
could
he
see that
altered
one.
time. But do you guys buy into that at all?
Well,
that
you could actually go into that from like a scientific standpoint because of how time how time changes in real life and space. It's like depending on where you are in the universe, if you're traveling through space, your time is moving faster and it's being controlled by gravity, and there's a whole bunch of other different factors that. Something that a lot of science fiction doesn't like to show is that, like, if you were to travel from one side of the galaxy or anything like that, it would have been 100 years for somebody that you're going to the place to meet them.
we mentioned this on one of our Deep Issue shows, didn't we, Adam?
Yeah.
The idea, like that there would be some planets where
Right.
time wouldn't move. So maybe is it the Force or is Dagobah like that?
That-
Is Dagobah
That's
one of
what
those
I'm
planets?
kind of thinking. Is that
Which
like
if-
that Dagobah? Yeah, is like if you've seen Interstellar, like that
Sure.
planet with the huge amount of gravity, where the guy just in orbit was 100, not 100 years, but like 30 years or
Right,
something like
right.
that. That when they were only down there for a few minutes, maybe it's something not even close to that. Like he can spend 5 weeks there, but in that time, it seems like he was there for 5 months or however long it was,
or 50 years or
50
something.
years, I mean, probably not. Because
And if you're in your think about it, you're in your late 800s.
Hmm.
Time's running out for you, but you got a lot of work to do. That maybe someday you want to train the other Jedi, or maybe you want to try to outlive the Empire.
Right.
Maybe you go to a planet of,
Exactly.
big time off the
'Cause
grid.
maybe that first shot's not going to be the last one.
Right. No, I mean, so that's maybe he chose Dagobah for a reason.
I could actually see that one. Maybe it's more so of like the scientific aspect of that more than just like the all-encompassing Force. But maybe it's something that like the Force drew him to that planet, because of that. And of course, that's a stretch. I'm sure that's just like
And if you go into the old legend stuff that they used to call the
Retconning,
EU, they used to talk about how Dagobah was a planet that Yoda had discovered decades before, or years before. And,
Probably wasn't on record.
And he was
or
drawn
something.
to it because it had this strong dark. It was once a dark side haven,
Okay.
which hence the cave.
Right. I can see that.
They talked about that in some of the comic books that perhaps that are not canon, by the way,
Right.
But
they take a lot of ideas from those ones now, and they're kind of bringing them back into canon.
trivia question for you, Brad. I'm going to throw you on the spot.
Oh.
What's Yoda's full name?
It's just Yoda, isn't it?
Yoda? Do you know this one, Adam?
No, I do not.
Yoda is his last name. As in Master
Oh.
Kenobi, Master Jin, Master Windu, Master
Right.
Yoda. His name is Minch Yoda.
I don't like that at all.
In the original script, he's talked about as Minch Yoda.
Minch.
Yeah, in fact, he wasn't just going to be called Minch.
God, isn't that a slang word for a woman's private? You know?
It might be. It might be. Isn't everything a slang
And,
word for a woman's private part?
I distinctly remember a South Park episode where it was Oprah. You know, Oprah's vagina went on a rampage, and his name was Minji. You know, so.
Jude, I'll throw it out real quick then. So, do you know Palpatine's full name?
Sheev.
Yes.
Yes, I do know that one.
He got it.
Yeah.
Nailed it.
I don't
All right.
like that name either.
Yeah, it's a dumb name, but hey, redeemed.
Right,
Consider
right.
yourself redeemed,
All right,
sir.
all right.
Let's throw some other. Okay, let's set the stage here. If you guys have listened to this show in the past and we've broken into Star Wars, you know that I am a Force Awakens hater. Didn't care for it. Wasn't my thing. In fact, let's take it a step further. That movie gave me super quintuple space aids. But I am not the only one out there with an opinion. Brad, you like Force Awakens,
I actually
right?
really liked it. I enjoyed it. I wouldn't say it's my favorite one, but I'd put it probably in my top, maybe 4 or something
Okay,
like
throw
that.
it on your order real quick.
My order would be 5, 3. I'm going to go say Rogue One
Okay.
after 3. Then 4, 7, 2, 1.
Okay, right on. That's a cool order. That is you're out there. That's obviously, you spaced them out a lot.
Yeah, because I really like the prequels for what they were.
Love them.
I used to really like Episode 1, but having watched them recently, it kind of makes me physically ill to get through that movie just because of Jar Jar. It just throws me off so much. And then there's like these weird cuts in the movie that I've started to notice. There's like a scene that's only like a minute and a half long, and then it cuts to something else.
Yeah, they do a lot of like wipes.
Yeah, a lot of wipes in that. It just doesn't really like.
I like Episode 1 still. I still and the reasons that I will break down. I know. Jar Jar sucks. Jar Jar Binks sucks.
Darth Maul's pretty cool.
Darth Maul was awesome. Darth Maul's only in one movie.
Jar Jar
Everybody pretends like they love Darth Maul, yet they hate Phantom Menace.
Jar Jar
It's
isn't
like,
the
tell-
only thing about that movie that sucks. Anakin in that movie sucks.
Yeah,
Jake Lloyd, they couldn't have gotten a worse kid actor.
I don't disagree with you, Adam, but I don't really blame Jake Lloyd for it. I actually blame the writing.
They should have gotten Haley Joel Osment.
I know everybody says that.
He would have been perfect. Maybe he would have stayed in shape, and then he could have reprised the role. What they should have done is they should have had him not that young, because who wanted to see Darth Vader as a little kid?
I agree. I actually totally agree. I think he should have been like 14.
I mean, because anybody could if somebody was to see Hitler as a young kid, they'd probably be and not knowing that it's Hitler, it's that's probably an all right kid.
He's cute.
Yeah. We don't want that.
Right.
Nobody wants that.
But they did want you to like him. But okay,
I'm getting some blowback here from Soroka about Jake Lloyd. He says I suck and Jake is amazing.
Yeah, I don't like to hate on Jake Lloyd. But one thing I will say
doesn't Soroka like some stupid shit though when it comes to Star Wars?
Soroka, yes.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah, he does.
I do feel bad for Jake Lloyd though, because he's gone through a lot, especially after that performance. Everybody just merciless. Kids are merciless, so they just ripped into him for everything.
Yeah, I don't like to rip on him either. But let me ask you guys this. Growing up, watching Star Wars Brad, you're a lot younger than us. But watching Star Wars before you watch the prequels, How old did you think Darth Vader was?
Wait, in which one?
In the original trilogy.
In the original?
4, 5, and 6. How old? Because I will go out on a limb and say you never thought about it.
No, never.
It didn't matter to you. You don't care. So the time frame doesn't matter. They could have made him 14. They could have made him 20. Because as it is,
preferred the 20.
okay. So think about it. Break it down. Darth Vader dies at age 45. Not he could have been 55.
He dies at 45?
Yeah, he's 45 when he
Damn.
dies.
He looks like he's a lot older.
Yeah, he looks like.
Well, I mean, it's been.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, you fall in lava.
Right.
It's like, pal. But no, I mean, really though, he's 45 when he dies there. He could have been 55, which would have put Jake Lloyd at 19 at that stage in the game. Same age as Luke, in
Right.
essence. Or he could have been 50, which would have put him at 14
Well, it kind
at that point. I mean, that could have easily been done.
That kind of seems like what he was going for is like the teenage, hero rising up, which was, Luke was 19 or something like that in New
Yeah.
Hope.
Right.
And then whoever old Rey's supposed to be, I'm going to go out on a limb and say 19, even though,
Sure.
I'm sure she's older than that in real life,
Probably. Probably.
But, it just didn't make a whole lot of sense why they come in with this 10-year-old kid, because any 10-year-old kid can just be a little nerd,
Right.
Like this kid, like he goes out and says "yippee." Like no kid says that actually. Like kids scream. I live right in front of a elementary school, and they wake me up every single morning, and they scream like all hell. But I've never heard one kid say "yippee" or anything like that.
Yeah, no, it'd have been really wizard if he was just a few years older.
Right.
Okay, but Force Awakens. Let's talk about some of these theories. Now, Force Awakens theories are a little different. Force Awakens or Last Jedi theories.
Because they could all be true.
Yeah, exactly. We have no idea. All these other ones we're talking about are pretty much in the abstract. You can like them, you can hate them, doesn't matter. But with most of these Force Awakens theories, in essence, you're going to find out if this is right in the next couple of years.
Right.
You're going to find out. So basically, the plethora of Rey theories. Rey is a Skywalker. Rey is a Palpatine. Rey is a Kenobi. And Rey is another chosen one.
Is a dude, like Rey's a dude, I guess. Like,
So, what do you think, man? Do any of these stick out? I mean, you're a resident Force Awakens expert.
the one that I've stuck with that I will argue with pretty much anybody is that Rey's a Kenobi, and I think that would because in a way, like I know that Star Wars is like the story of the Skywalkers, but I think at the same time, my favorite characters out of all the movies is always Obi-Wan Kenobi. I really hope that they give him his own solo movie, which is in the talks, because like just the changes that he's gone throughout the whole series, and I think that there's enough gray area with that character between like 3 and 4 that he could have had a child or something like that. But that child wouldn't be Rey, of course. That child would be the parent of Rey.
Yeah, so in this theory, Rey is
the
Kenobi's granddaughter.
Yes. And that kind of makes the whole dynamic of, how it's always kind of come down to, the Kenobi, like the pupil of Kenobi or Kenobi versus Vader, Skywalker, Kenobi. Luke kind of was a pupil of Kenobi versus Darth Vader. And this one is kind of that clash again of like the ultimate light and ultimate, just gray kind of. Because I wouldn't say that Skywalkers are always bad, because obviously Luke.
Right.
But there's like this gray area that he falls into, and it just seems like this dynamic that they've been building in all the trilogies is just Kenobi versus Skywalker. Because there's this thing online. It's a video. It's like, what if Star Wars Episode 1 were good? And like just the video in itself is like a little assumptive. That like, well, you obviously didn't like it, but I did like that movie. It's hard for me to watch it again. There's a lot of story elements in this video online that makes it just a lot more entertaining to watch. Like, there's not really a main character in that movie. It kind of goes all around.
Sure.
If they had made that Obi-Wan story, Like if they had made the whole prequel trilogy Obi-Wan story, that would have been a lot more interesting, because if you kept episode 3 the same, because I love that movie.
Yeah. Oh, it's great. It's
you
great.
kind of suggest that, like, if there's kind of a suggestion that, like, maybe Obi-Wan and Padme had an affair or something like that. And there is kind of some suggestions of that.
And in the Clone Wars cartoon, which is canon,
Mm-hmm.
it was actually canon under George Lucas, and it's accepted as canon under Disney.
Yep.
So those cartoons, which were cool,
Mm-hmm.
they were actually very, very cool. Some of it goes a little far for me sometimes.
Sometimes it's a little kiddie.
Yeah, and
some of them, and then
some
other
of them,
ones are, like, really dark,
and,
you know?
and some of them kind of screw up.
Yeah.
Screw with stuff that I wish they wouldn't screw with.
Right.
But for the most part, I mean, and I think most Star Wars fans agree, the Clone Wars cartoons were awesome.
Mm-hmm.
They were very cool.
Very much.
And Obi-Wan has a girlfriend.
Yeah.
You know, he does. I mean, it was kind of like a past fling
Mm-hmm.
that comes back, and then even though he did decide to, I'm going to stick with the Jedi
Right.
Order,
And
he when he comes back to her, there's definitely
still a connection, a strong connection. there.
definitely a romantic thing there that he's not fighting emotionally. He's just saying, I'm not allowed to do this. I'm a Jedi.
Right.
But it's not like he's not feeling the emotion.
And I think that there is enough kind of gray area with that whole relationship that there could maybe be some illegitimate child of her somewhere, because you don't really find out a lot about that character. And I don't know, one of the warriors or whatever, the Mandalorian warriors that are always found, is like somebody who could be about that age of maybe being, you know, Kenobi's daughter, which I don't think that's actually what it is, but it just kind of shows that there is this gray area with him, you know, and that he's loved before and he's not so dedicated to, you know, this Jedi dogma or whatever it is, because they don't want him to get laid for whatever reason.
Right.
You know?
And then there comes this point where okay, well, first of all, I mean, the Jedi are not supposed to get married because attachment is forbidden. It actually doesn't say that the Jedi can't hook up on the side.
Okay.
You know, I mean, technically, if you think about
so
it.
It's suggesting that they're one-night stands, probably.
Right, I
you know?
mean, basically, in essence, what they're saying with Jedi is you're not allowed to get married, but if you have a kid, you have to be a deadbeat dad. Is basically, in essence, I believe the canon teachings.
Yeah, you have to have that text message conversation of like, you know, I don't really want anything out of this. I don't know what you were.
I'm gonna have to take you out of my phone. But the other thing too is, you know, okay, so Obi-Wan's chilling on Tatooine by himself for 19 years.
Exactly,
He's
yeah.
hitting the bar scene.
He's like, yeah, he's just gonna stay in that
you know, I mean,
hut by himself for 30 years or 20 years.
I mean, and he's still staying true to the Jedi ordeals, but he's basically the last Jedi. And if he was never crazy about that whole Jedis can't hook up with broads thing, then, you know, maybe he's gonna
and I think
branch out.
And I think that seeing the fall of the Order kind of opened his eyes in that, like, maybe all these teachings aren't any good.
Sure.
You know, because, like, we did everything that we were supposed to, and then Anakin turned on us, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And, like, I mean, yeah, that's on him, but, like, we kind of did this. So I can see him being a little bit disillusioned with it, still sticking to like, the main...
Sure.
Kind of, like, in, like, any, you know, organized religion. You know, like, you and me, we're both Catholic, but I'm sure that we both think that it's probably kind of dumb that priests can't get married. You know,
Sure,
like
there's-
historically speaking, that made sense. But we don't live in the dynasties that.
Sure, I mean, and that's, you know, I mean, we've mentioned that a lot on this pad. Yeah, it's true. I'm a fairly devout Catholic, but it doesn't mean I always agree with every single thing that they say. You know, but you know, I still think it's a good way to go.
Right. So I could see Obi-Wan, you know, forming some sort of relationship while on Tatooine. And something that I don't know if you've stayed up to date, if you ever watched the Star Wars Rebels.
I'm behind because I don't have Disney XD on my cable anymore, which is really annoying. But my cable all of a sudden got rid of it. So I've watched a lot of it, but I'm not up to date.
There are, like, that show I wouldn't say is as good as the Clone Wars, and there are a lot more kiddie elements to it, where it just, you know, these people that are immortal, you know, these 5 rebels, like,
Right.
Christ, like send some little bit more competent, people towards these. The most competent guys that they send towards them end up being on their side, and it's just like it gets a little like samey after a while. But then there are some really cool because I don't want to spoil too much, but
go ahead, man. We're
there
live
is
on air, man.
yeah. There is a final confrontation between Maul and Kenobi on Tatooine, and much to like what was actually a really good move that they did because it was pretty artistic and very important to the character. The fight lasted three attacks. It's like it wasn't this long drawn out thing. Because Maul he's been working with the rebels or whatever. He's been trying to trick them and kill them and do all sorts of things.
He was trying to make Ezra his new...
because he wants to find where Kenobi is, and he finally finds him, and because him and Ezra were able to find out, like, twin sons or something. I remember that, because he was at Tatooine. He remembers that. So he's wandering the desert, and he's going crazy, because he's like, I came here without a plan. They came looking for some old man in the desert. But then he gets Ezra to come and find him because Ezra is able to contact him through the Force or something like that. So then he follows Ezra when Ezra is saved. He's attacked by like some Tusken Raiders and that sort of thing, and Obi-Wan saves him. Maul is following him this whole time, and then that's when they come and have the confrontation. And he's so driven by hate and all this sort of thing. He goes to attack Kenobi, and it's like he's crazy moves that he spins around doing all this crap. And Obi-Wan, like there's a moment where he's like set up in his prequel stage, where it's like the really brash and daring kind of bravado knight, that sort of thing. Then he kind of changes into like the old man stage that he showed when he fought Vader.
Sure.
But then he
Form 3.
Yeah. Then he changes it again to the same format that Qui-Gon Jinn used.
Okay.
So like then he comes through, and Maul actually does the same moves that he did to kill Qui-Gon. Comes through the same exact thing. Is going to hit him with the hilt, and Obi-Wan just cuts right through that. And one swipe, then just like that, they all turn off, and then Maul drops down dead, pretty much. Like they have their last moments of like, is he really the chosen one kind of thing? It was like, yeah, so like, he'll be avenged kind of thing. And it's like, oh yeah, that's pretty gay, but like, it's kind of cool at the same time. And like, what that just shows about the character is that he's changed. He's not this brash. He's just a wiser old guy that I think could have created this relationship and formed something, because a lot of like the same powers that he was known to be used, he's really good at mind control. It's like that's always shown to be his strong suit. Rey learned the Force like a day ago and is able to convince James Bond Stormtrooper into that was Daniel Craig. Just
yeah.
Thought that was kind of cool. Convince James Bond Stormtrooper into letting her go. She's known what the Force is for like a day.
Yeah, which to me was ludicrous beyond compare.
Well, that's the thing. It's like if she's so powerful, and it is the thing. Because like Anakin was able to figure a lot of that crap out pretty easy. Like he was reading the sign, and he learned about that 2 days ago, and he learned about the shitty one, the one with all the bugs, the midichlorians, like he didn't get like the philosophical version of it.
You know what I just don't want to see with Rey?
What?
If it turns out that Rey is a Skywalker, and that'd be so dumb.
Yeah.
It's gonna be so played. It will just be like to the point where if that was the plan with Episode 7, I hope whoever jumps in changes it.
Right.
Because they act like it was such a remake. It's such a remake of the original.
I can agree with that wholeheartedly.
And not a great remake. And I just think, to me, if this just turns out that she's a Skywalker and now she's got to like kill her dad or something, like, I mean, it's like, stop it. Just stop it. But so you don't buy into Rey's a Palpatine.
I don't.
Rey was created by the midichlorians. I've seen that by
like some of their moves. I've seen all that, and like that's just like that's really grasping at straws. Like the Kenobi one, I think a good argument can be made for that. And then, of course, the Skywalker one, too. But that's just so... Yeah, like, I agree with that. Like, if they do that, that would be pretty dumb.
Right.
You know, I mean, I do kind of hope that Luke has a kid somewhere. But, I mean, if you make that the main character of your first movie, and then, well, we don't know who the parents are, you know, but, you know, watch out.
Right.
Then...
Okay, the other one being
Then, yeah, it'll just be
Supreme
New
Leader
Hope.
Snoke. Supreme Leader Snoke is the new character. He's the mysterious character in The Force Awakens, and everyone's asking the question, who is Snoke? Now, granted, J.J. Abrams has come right out and said, no, Snoke's a new character you haven't heard of. But people on the internet refuse to hear that.
Right.
So
It's Mace Windu or something.
Exactly. So Snoke is Mace Windu. Snoke is Darth
Yoda.
Plagueis.
He's Yoda, clearly.
Snoke is Darth Maul. Snoke is Princess Leia. I watched that one a few weeks ago. Snoke is Vader, but just the bad part of Vader.
No.
You know, because he's the Force ghost became Vader, but
Right,
then
right.
the evil was the remnant. Snoke is Palpatine. Not quite
That-
sure. Snoke is Jar Jar Binks. Snoke is
Strong case.
Snoke is the son of Mortis. Which that one actually would be kind of cool if you actually followed that the whole son of Mortis thing. Snoke is Anakin's evil twin. Snoke is another one that would be kind of anticlimactic, but perhaps cool. I guess is Snoke is just a Sith holocron. He's not even there. He's just
That's kind of cool.
I mean, that Kylo
it's
Ren
the,
is just
the man behind the strings.
You know,
don't pay attention to the guy behind the curtain kind of deal.
Right. That he just is learning the dark side through a Sith holocron.
Right.
That Luke would have undoubtedly uncovered when he started, bringing the libraries back and restarting the Jedi Order. So I don't know. Do you buy into any of these Snoke things? I don't have an opinion, but I'm not a TFA guy. So.
Right. The strongest case I think to be made out of any of those is probably Plagueis. Just because like that's like this in-universe mythology that was like really cool that was made in Episode 3 that it exists elsewhere. It wasn't just what these people were doing. And if Plagueis were to have been behind the scenes all the time, I don't think that would be the case. I think he was more of like waiting for the inevitable collapse of, his apprentice that, attempted to kill him. Because Sidious is a liar. Everybody knows that.
Sure.
He just lies about everything. He said, like, you killed your wife, that sort of thing. Like, he probably never could have, killed his guy. Maybe he hurt him and he thought, like, he, like, put him in like a ship and exploded it or something, Like I could see something like that, but I mean any of those other ones. I mean besides Jar Jar Binks, because I mean that's obvious, that's a given. I mean where was he the whole original trilogy? He was behind the scenes waiting,
Right. It's the rule
building
the rule
the first
of 3,
order,
right?
Yeah.
The rule of 3. Jar Jar was the secret Sith who was actually pulling the strings all through this.
That would have been a pretty interesting one. Had that
Which in the canon books they just kind of threw in like a Jar Jar thing recently that was actually really dumb.
he was a homeless clown or something.
Right. So if you go off of that, then that has been debunked. The whole Jar Jar Binks, aside from the Snoke thing, the whole Jar Jar Binks is the Sith Lord, which are hilarious. If you go just because the reason the whole Jar Jar Binks is a Sith Lord is a great Star Wars theory is because it's dumb. It's designed to be dumb.
Right.
The guy that created it doesn't really think that.
Yeah,
He's being stupid, but it's so well thought out, and the holes in it are far smaller than the holes in most of these theories that we're going to cover tonight. So this idea that he's out there is. They do such a good job of laying it out if you're interested at all in watching the Jar Jar Binks as a Sith Lord.
Yeah, he's like moving his mouth when bad things are happening. So he's like he uses a weird form of combat where he acts like a dumbass, but it turns out he's actually really effective.
Right. I mean, watch the scene where he's fighting the droids and the droidicon. I mean, 2 hardcore Jedis couldn't take out a droidicon, but Jar Jar's just bouncing around, killing him with his feet. Accidentally grabbing guns and killing stuff, and
Yeah, he was made a general really quickly. They recognized the true power.
Right,
And,
like he's just constantly
he used his battle meditation or something.
Sure.
To
so you know, maybe Jar Jar Binks was the Sith Lord
strong case for that. I'm gonna stick with that. It is Plagueis, mostly because J.J. Abrams can't make anything original. This is just how it is. Like the most original thing he's probably ever done was Super 8,
Right.
and that's just essentially if E.T. was bad. And 8 people, like nobody expected that. Like,
Okay, now the thing is, I will be really pissed if, unless he's like dead and he's a Force ghost or something,
Mm-hmm.
or they talk about how he came back. But if Snoke is Plagueis, this pisses me off. Reason being that the Sith are destroyed.
Mhm.
We know this. We know that the Sith have been destroyed.
Mm-hmm.
That there are no remnants of the Sith. That is the fulfillment of the prophecy.
right.
That is the fulfillment of Anakin being
Well-
the Chosen One. Although the Chosen One thing didn't work out quite like the Jedi thought.
Well, no, the prophecy says a balance in the Force. So maybe that's what this whole, like, the Last Jedi thing is about.
Mhm.
Because, like, the balance, there's not a whole lot of balance when there's only good guys.
Right.
You know?
But according to Lucas, at least back in the day,
Mhm.
I know Lucas isn't running the show, he's not calling the shots anymore. But the idea of balance in the Force was that the Sith had come up with ways to manipulate the midi-chlorians.
Mhm.
Unnatural ways, which is something that Palpatine, a term that Palpatine uses.
Right.
Unnatural ways of using the midi-chlorians. The midi-chlorians allowed themselves to be controlled this way, and the midi-chlorians know that this is bad. So once the Sith are destroyed, the midi-chlorians will never allow that to happen again.
Okay. I've never actually heard that. So that would
so
make
that's
sense.
the idea. That's why Anakin was bringing the balance to that. They had to destroy the Sith.
Like
so
the
then
control that they had.
Yeah, so that the Sith could never exist again. So if they stay true to Lucas, the Sith are dead and they can never come back.
Well-
there can still be dark side users.
Well, that could be the
You
thing
can
is
still
that...
use the Force to be a bad guy, but you can't technically be a Sith.
Well, it could be that, like, Plagueis... Because... in like Rebels, Maul comes back, and in Clone Wars, they had when Plagueis confronted Maul, there can only be 2 or whatever, and like they had their fight, and then he held on to Maul or whatever. Maul eventually he comes back in Rebels, and he makes it clear that I'm not a Sith, I'm not one of them anymore, because he hated them. So maybe it could be a similar thing with Plagueis. I could see something like that maybe happening, because he was betrayed, inevitably, like they always do. It's like, well, that's dumb. Maybe that I want like to rule things and not have somebody try to kill me every chance that I do that.
Right.
Right. Why don't I just have people that are loyal underlings, rather
Sure.
than.
And the other thing that I want to break into with this, and Adam, I feeling you'll have an opinion on this one too, is, and you kind of touched on this already, Brad. Palpatine has his little speech with Anakin. The only time that you hear Plagueis mentioned, you often on the internet, on Reddit and things, you'll hear people say that Plagueis isn't canon yet. Well, technically he is canon. We don't know anything about him,
Right.
but he is canon. Palpatine mentions him in the movie, more so than a lot of other canon things. He's actually mentioned in a movie. But the way I always viewed that, and people have very differing opinions on this, but the way I always viewed that with Palpatine telling him this is that I viewed it as Palpatine's full of crap.
Yeah.
I'm not, sure, Darth Plagueis was his master, and he killed him. That part is just the normal thing, but this idea that Plagueis could keep people from dying, I think it's crap. I think he was just telling Anakin what he wanted to hear
Right.
to do that. I don't really think that Darth Plagueis was this, extremely powerful Sith that could keep
manage,
people from
yeah.
dying.
Yeah.
I don't really think that's the case. I think Palpatine's just giving Anakin a load of bullshit because he knows it's what he wants to hear, because he knows of his issues with Padme. I don't really think that was the case, though. But there are some cool theories about how they use that. Adam, I believe you talked about the one where that's why Padme died.
Yeah.
Was because he took Padme's life force
Yes.
to keep Anakin alive. Who?
I 100% believe that that's true.
That seems to make a lot of sense too, because I'm talking about taking her life force, since at the very end of Revenge of the Sith, Padme is having Luke and Leia, and the robot doctors come out and say, she's healthy, but for some unknown reason we're losing her. Well, what's that unknown reason?
Yeah, like these are robots. They should be able to read that.
They should be able to read it, but robots aren't in with the Force.
Right.
Robots,
right.
droids are droids.
Mm.
So to me, that makes a lot of sense, and that kind of fills in those holes,
Right.
or ties up those loose ends with that particular part of the story.
Yeah, I agree with that completely. And the fact that when they're leaving, he says, I felt her, she was alive, or because obviously he didn't choke her for very long.
Right.
I don't know a lot about choking women, but but if I were a betting man, I would say that
He's
you
not
probably
an NFL or
yeah, I'm not
Right.
I'm not
NCAA football player.
right. I imagine you have to do it probably a little bit longer than that.
Yeah, I mean,
even-
and she definitely was alive. I mean, she walked back into the into the ship.
all right, like they.
She was around. I mean,
Did she
still a
walk
dick
in-
move on Anakin.
I think
Or did
R2
Obi-Wan help her?
I think R2 and C-3PO got her in
Okay.
because when he came back to the ship, he was like, "Oh, we got her online." It's
Okay.
like I don't know. C-3PO was a pussy, so I'm kind of thinking that maybe she kind of helped a little bit.
Sure,
She was
sure.
they helped her get up and then whatever. But I think that Palpatine felt that she was alive as well. And he was, so long as she's alive, I'm not going to have complete control over this guy.
And that it had to be him, and for Anakin to live, it had to be Padme because they had this connection.
Yeah.
They had this strong Force connection where he was reaching out to her
Right.
at the time. He couldn't just take that clone trooper over there, I'm going to take his life.
Right.
I mean, it had to be some sort
Right.
of Force connection.
And I think that could kind of to where maybe Palpatine isn't completely full of crap in that whole thing. It's that maybe in the same way that Obi-Wan said that Darth Vader killed your father. It's that's from a certain point of view that is true. It's he could keep those he loved from dying. From a certain point of view by killing somebody that they loved, kind of deal.
And that would kind of be the Sith way.
Yeah,
It?
And that this kind of draining force that exists, that would make a lot of sense. So I think it is possible maybe that Palpatine, I think that he learned that, but it wasn't all that he was hoping it to be, but he left that kind of out of the story, because otherwise, in a sense, he was full of crap in that he's leaving very important details out of it.
Sure.
Yeah, we could maybe keep her alive, at the expense of you.
Sure.
Something
maybe at
like
the
that.
expense of one of those kids.
Yeah.
Or
It's
something.
I hope you like a barren, barren womb after that.
Right. So I mean like I said, I always thought that he was full of crap and making up that power completely, but it was when Adam brought that theory to my attention a few months back that I really thought well, hey, that makes a whole lot of sense though. It really does. It makes a lot of sense. Switching gears here. This is one of my favorite Star Wars theories, and it's not even a direct Star Wars theory, and I know Adam has a ton of opinions on this one as well, but E.T. is a Jedi. This one, I am on board with this one.
I do know the connection between the two universes because you can see in the Phantom Menace there are little E.T. aliens in there. But I mean, I haven't seen E.T. in.
I mean, basically, like Brad is saying,
So
in
long, yeah.
Phantom Menace, when they're in the Senate, you see things that look like E.T. So they're telling you that
It's
E.T. is from the Star Wars universe.
Right.
Well, it's. I mean, Lucas and Steven Spielberg were.
Yeah, they're buds.
Yeah,
they're buds.
They're butt
Yeah.
buddies, they.
And basically, then with E.T., he's lost. He's lost from somewhere very far away when he gets to Earth.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And he sees Yoda, and then he home. Yeah,
He's drawn to him.
and I don't know if that necessarily means that he's a Jedi or anything. Then,
Okay, what I think is, and now some people say, "Oh, E.T.'s a Jedi Master." I've heard E.T.'s a Jedi. It's a common one. E.T.'s a Sith Lord. I'm not really sure why that is the case.
Because yeah, you remember when he killed that kid? And
well, what they say is that he kind of does the Plagueis thing.
Oh, when he's dying.
Yeah,
right?
because
I
he's
forgot
dying.
about that.
But
That's
in
a bit of a
essence,
stretch.
what I think is that E.T.'s like a youngling.
Okay.
E.T.'s a Padawan. He doesn't really have his Force abilities strong yet. He recognizes Yoda because the younglings all train with Yoda.
Right.
So he's recognizing Yoda.
And yeah, he seems pretty incompetent just in general.
He wants to get home. He's kind of goofy. He's kind of kid-like. And he's mastering these Force powers. And what does it culminate in the end to? He gets the kids to levitate. Like, he's mastering that power. If he was a Jedi Master, levitating
Probably,
those
yeah.
bikes would be no big deal. he'd levitate them all day.
Right.
But no, E.T. really had reined that power in to do that. They show his finger as well, and in a lot of the canon novels and things, there are times when the midi-chlorians will actually have a physical presence, a visual presence, where they will focus themselves on one part of like the finger or the. But I mean, every power E.T. uses could easily be construed as the Force. I mean, it was totally the Force.
I see that.
And to bring that in, to me, this one it's just legit. To me, he's just a Padawan that got lost.
I mean, I can really see that one. I don't know, like, I feel like that's something that can kind of be like retconned in. So even if it wasn't true when they were making the movie, they were like,
Right.
let's do like a little call out to this thing,
No, I don't really think that. Retcon is a great word for it because I don't really think that Steven Spielberg was thinking, I'm making this movie about a Jedi named E.T. I don't really think that was going down, but I think it works.
Yeah.
I mean, I definitely think it works, and it makes me like E.T. better. And I'm just, I'm on board with that one. I think it's cool.
I might need to go back and watch that one because I haven't seen that since I was probably like 5 or 6.
Right.
Because it gave me nightmares when he came out of the cornfield and screamed at him. I was like, I never really got over that.
I really like that one. I do.
Yeah.
It makes a lot of sense, especially and Josh.
It's fun.
I never thought about the levitating thing too. When he obviously, those who've seen E.T. is the famous scene with the bikes and everything. But I never made that connection. I made the connection with the Yoda thing and him kind of following and I was like you, Brad. I didn't think I didn't necessarily draw or think that just because he recognized Yoda that he was automatically a Jedi. I mean, Han Solo knew Yoda, and Han Solo wasn't a Jedi.
Right. Yoda's a pretty big deal in it'd be like recognizing the Pope.
Exactly.
I mean, in essence, it was what's going
exactly.
down there.
But when you bring in the levitation aspect to it and the healing aspect to it, then yeah, I think Yoda. I mean, to go further, to go even deeper with it, Josh, like you were saying, maybe he was a youngling.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, he doesn't have a total mastery of this power.
Yeah, he doesn't, because he can't like trick any of the FBI guys looking for him to look the other way, sort of thing.
Sure. And something that they kind of have, maybe they say it, but they've definitely hinted at in Star Wars is that can like a Jedi fly? Well, not really.
No.
Not really. But they do kind of have some of these powers. They can do that. Can a Jedi pick up another person?
Yeah.
Yes, but the only time you really see something like that is like Dooku, a very powerful Jedi. Like he kind of picks up, and they'll do stuff like this. But typically, a Force user will typically pick up an inanimate object. So E.T. could make the bike fly,
Right.
but he couldn't necessarily just make Elliot fly.
One of the times that you do see like them levitating people a lot is oftentimes in like the animated series, but even when they do it in there, it often takes someone who's typically pretty powerful, like Anakin or Obi-Wan. They have to really focus on it, because Dooku, he could just do it like nothing.
Yeah, and when Dooku does it to Obi-Wan too, he's showing off. He is absolutely showing off to I can do this to another Jedi.
Right.
I'm the shit.
Right.
Is basically what Dooku is saying when he's doing that. He could have fought him in different ways, but he's trying to say like, yeah, no, I got you. Because for whatever reason, I think it's just kind of like a style issue. But I mean, Obi-Wan, as powerful as he is like Dooku's bitch.
Right.
I mean, in all the movies.
Yeah.
They don't match up.
Which I was always really bummed about, but...
It bums me out, too, because I'm a huge Obi-Wan fan. But at the same time, I feel like there's, I always try to view it as like sports.
Right.
If you have a certain fighting style, a certain defensive style, a certain offensive style, sometimes you're not going to match up
There's some people
against
you're just
certain
not
people.
going to... Yeah.
And if you actually really break it down to like the forms of fighting, Form 3, which is Obi-Wan is a master of, matches up very poorly against the rarely used Form 2.
Right. Which is what Dooku
uses.
Right.
So it actually makes quite a bit of sense, really. It's just, they just don't match up well.
Right. And I can understand that. Yeah, that makes sense.
There's a few other ones. Some of these are kind of goofy. Some of them maybe we'll just glaze over a little bit to some degree. But the Jedi Council sent Qui-Gon off to die.
I think that's bullcrap. No, because they're always squabbling at each other. They don't know anything. They're like about as competent as like Congress or something.
Right.
Like
but you see the basis behind this.
Yeah,
that Qui-Gon's the great Jedi.
Cannon. Yeah, he's
they
a
don't
loose
like
cannon.
him, and they feel like the Sith Lord's coming in, so they kind of send him off on this mission, just the two of them.
Yeah, no,
but I don't buy it. But that's one that.
I think a case could be made for that, but I think that they couldn't foresee anything. They were stupid. They were blinded by themselves. They're just a bunch of jackasses.
I don't really have a whole lot to say about this next one, but I feel like it links with this last one that we just disagreed with. But this idea, and there's a whole bunch of these out there, but this idea that the Jedi are actually the bad ones. Have you guys ever heard anything about this? That
kind of
if you think about it, the Jedi are, the story's told from their point of view. But are they really the good guys? Or they're kind of doing some of the same stuff the Sith are doing? They're kind of corrupt. Yeah, they're kind of.
I actually do kind of buy into that. In that, like, not that they're evil. It's just that they're kind of lost. In that, like, that's what the prequels kind of tried to say, and I don't know if they did it very well, and that's why people shit on them all the time. But it tries to paint that like they're so caught up in these weird dogmatic practices that it's just they're not really driven by like their own values anymore. Like Mace Windu is willing to go kill the Chancellor, because he doesn't like the guy. He really doesn't know anything about this. He's like,
right.
he's too dangerous to be kept alive. Well, that's not what you've been saying for like 30 years now. Like they're so and. They send Anakin to spy on him, and they're all caught up in all sorts of just dirty stuff. So, I mean, I wouldn't say that they're evil, but I can see that like they've definitely fallen. And I think that's a lot of what like the prequels is about, is that just the falling of the complete destruction of this falling order that got caught up in themselves too much.
Yeah, I mean, and to me, it always struck me when the Mace Windu scene that Mace Windu he wanted the glory of going in there. I actually have a different theory that it's not really even a theory. I actually just think it's if this happened, it would have worked. That had Mace Windu brought Anakin with him that day to confront Palpatine, Anakin and he brings Sayestine, Aegon Kohler, and Kit Fisto as well, who get punked in like 5 seconds. But if they'd have brought Anakin with them, which why wouldn't you bring Anakin with you? You know how powerful he is,
right?
If they would have brought him with them, they would have defeated Palpatine. Anakin would have killed Palpatine.
Crisis averted,
and not only crisis averted, prophecy fulfilled.
Right.
Anakin, has no aspect of Sith in him yet.
Well, and
he just destroyed the only Sith because Dooku's dead.
And that just shows more of like his Mace's flaws. That he was confident in himself. He wanted the glory. He was selfish. Kind of.
Mace kind of knows that if I bring Anakin, he'll probably be the guy that that finishes him off. But hey, I'm Mace Windu. I can take whatever. If he's a Sith Lord, he probably is. Whatever.
I'm Sam M.F. Jackson.
Yeah, exactly. And that's alluded to with Yoda says that. When Obi-Wan is talking about how, Anakin is headstrong and all those things.
Right.
And Yoda's
with Kenobi and Mace Windu, and Yoda says to him, he says, yeah, it's something that we see a lot in our young Jedi, and you also see it sometimes in some of our older Jedi.
Oh, yeah.
And I think most people take that as him still kind of teaching Obi-Wan, but
Right.
I also think it's kind of a jab at,
Yeah.
at Windu.
Never
Is what
thought
I
of it
always
that
thought.
way.
I always thought it was kind of like Yoda saying, like, no, it's not just him. I think everybody takes it as a little bit of a jab towards Kenobi, but I actually always took it as a little bit of a jab towards Kenobi and Windu.
Okay.
That, he's trying to say, like, yeah, well, headstrong and arrogance is kind of a thing. It's kind of going around over here.
Yeah, guys with shiny bald heads, they're usually the ones that that really show it the most.
Looking one of these fancy Coruscant mirrors.
Right, yeah, I can see the Jedi are evil. Well, because, then Anakin even says, from my point of view, the Jedi are evil. Like, he saw them go back on what they've been teaching him forever, and he saw everything about that,
No, for sure, man, for sure. I mean, and I definitely think I don't think the Jedi are evil. I think they're the good guys, but...
Then you are lost, like...
Yeah, I mean, but Anakin buys into this, and Anakin's no dummy. I know he's emotional, I know he's not thinking, but Anakin buys into this, and there's a reason for that. And it's also supposedly, in some of the book stuff for Rogue One, they talk about this. That why did the people turn against the Jedi so fast? And it's because there was a growing stigma about the Jedi. Kind of, they're getting a little corrupt. They're getting a little uppity.
Yeah,
and
they're leading, these armies and
and then pass that off with a bunch of propaganda thrown out there by Palpatine.
Yeah.
And it takes only a matter of years before people are kind of against the Jedi by the time A New Hope rolls around. Except for some of those purists.
A lot of people just don't even know what they are. Like,
right.
Yeah,
like, well,
like a whole generation
were they good guys? Were they bad guys? I don't know. They seem like bad guys according to the news, but my grandpa says they were good guys. That's kind of like what your average rebel is thinking, what your average member, just person, Joe Schmo, walking around in the Empire trying to, working at the, local trash compactor or something.
Do you have the Dooku one on there?
The Dooku one? I do. I was actually going to jump to that one next.
Okay, cool.
If you want. Yeah. This is other than the ET one, this is probably maybe my favorite Star Wars theory, and it's one that I buy into to some degree. And I don't know if you've heard this one or not, Brad, but Adam and I have discussed it off air, but the idea that Dooku was never actually a bad guy. That Dooku is actually kind of a double agent for the Republic. Not so much a double agent directly for the Council. He's a double agent on his own,
right,
in essence. But you see Dooku, he leaves the Jedi Order peacefully. The Jedi kind of still respect him at first. They view him as, well, he's a powerful, wise Jedi, and he left for political differences, in essence. Dooku does become a Sith. He does go to the dark side. He does use the dark side. You see him use Sith lightning. You see him with the red lightsaber. He takes out his as the canon goes, that was always his lightsaber. He took out the green crystal and put in a red one to make that new red lightsaber. So he does go to the dark side, and he does some nasty stuff. He's not a nice guy,
right?
But this idea that he actually was never really wanted Palpatine to win. He actually was a true believer.
If you remember that conversation he had with Obi-Wan when he had him captured, it's like, together we can, we'll kill him,
and
we'll destroy the Sith.
That's where, without this theory, there's holes in the plot. There isn't holes in the theory. There's holes in the plot of the movie. And okay, one quick thing that's main too: he doesn't have the Sith eyes. He does not have the yellow eyes that every Sith has except him. In essence, even Anakin going that quickly.
Does Palpatine just wear like some contacts or something, or is he?
I think so. You see
him suppress it.
You see the I think it's only there when you really are raging.
Yeah.
When you're really Sith raging, but you see it. You see it in Palpatine. You see it in Anakin almost immediately when he gives himself to the dark side. You see it in Darth Maul. You even see it in Savage Opress, who isn't like a formally trained Sith, but he does become a Sith. So you see this everywhere. Not in Dooku though. Almost like he has not fully given himself to the dark side. Like he's choosing to
adapt and use dark side methods when it benefits him.
Yeah.
He likes the power.
Well,
he likes the new power.
That
He
actually
likes-
kind of resonates too with in Lord of the Rings, because Saruman wanted to get rid of. He wanted to fight Mordor with his army.
Right.
With it's kind of like the same. And
Right.
both played by the same guy. You know?
Yeah,
Man,
he's
we're really
basically-
nerding out now.
yeah, well, in that same actor, Christopher
Yep,
Lee is
same
both,
actor,
both
yep.
dudes. So
right.
in that,
Excellent bad guy. One
Yeah.
of the best bad guys of all time.
Dracula.
awesome. Yeah, he was great. He was great. I love Christopher Lee. Still holds the Guinness Book of World Records for most
movie
movies.
roles,
Yeah,
yeah.
most movies ever.
Also was a metal singer.
He was. He
really
was.
weird.
No, I'm a huge Christopher Lee fan. That's he was actually a really nice guy too, from what they say. And the reason that people always talk about his Guinness Book of World Records thing, the reason he had that was because he was basically guilted into playing those Dracula roles over and over again.
Right.
He didn't want to do them for years. He had done it a million times, and basically they went to him and said, "You can quit if you want, but you're going to put all these people out of work. You're going to put all these all these grips, all these all these camera guys, all these extras, all these other actors.
Think about the kids.
Basically, this is how they're feeding their families. Do you really want to do that?" And he was like, "Okay, I'll make another 24 of them, whatever." But we digress. But
So yeah,
the main thing-
always plays a real shithole, but a real nice guy.
yeah, they say he's a super nice guy, and hey, he got his great grandkids rich off
Right.
of those Star Wars roles. But in essence, why would Dooku tell Obi-Wan the things he's telling him? Kenobi's in chains, he's captured. He tells him the truth.
Mhm.
He breaks it down. That is a big secret. Palpatine wouldn't want him to be doing that. I mean, he comes right out and says, no. He tells him the truth. And I remember at the time people saying, it's kind of discounted later, but
Maybe he's just saying
I
that,
remember
but-
the night after the night the movie came out, I went to dinner with some people, and my uncle, who used to be on the show, Tip, actually said, well, I don't know, is Dooku a good guy, though?
Yeah.
And all the other nerds, because he's not a huge Star Wars nerd, so no, of course not.
Right.
But no, there is something to this, that he breaks down exactly what's going on to Kenobi. The only other thing I can think of is if he's truly a Sith.
Mhm.
The only other thing is that he is trying to convert Kenobi to a Sith because that's how they break it down. And,
Right. Then he would just kill Palpatine.
and that
after that.
in Dooku's mind, he believes that him and Kenobi together could take Palpatine.
Mhm.
And now he's the master, Kenobi's the apprentice. But even that, I don't really buy it. There's no reason for him to reveal this other than to... And the thing is, Kenobi doesn't bite. So he leaves.
The issue with that, though, is that since now the Clone Wars existed, the TV show, he just commits a whole bunch of travesties in that, not really seemingly to any end. It just was kind of to be a dick, at the end of the day.
Well, and hey, it doesn't mean that he didn't embrace the dark side to some degree. It doesn't mean that he wasn't part of the war.
I get that, but it's just it didn't seem like he was ever reaching for that end goal that he mentioned in episode 2, It just seemed like he just kind of gave up on that. Maybe that idea kind of stopped after that. Maybe that was
fades
his,
out of him as he more embraces the dark side. The other thing that I kind of
But
think...
could you think that he maybe did that, though, for...
Because he's got to sell it.
He's got to sell it, and there's a good greater than him,
Right.
and maybe
I do think that.
in
I
the
do.
end, and for him, the ends justify the means.
Yeah, I think of him as the soldier who is
He's
committing
Doing
the
what-
atrocities because he thinks
so
that...
somebody else doesn't have to.
yeah, he's kind of living out that sacrifice. He's sacrificing his name and his reputation for the greater good of the Republic.
The other thing
But
I kind of
then,
think...
what is that he's waiting for?
Well, I think he wants to end the whole thing. I
'Cause
think he wants to end...
'cause, I mean, he
I think he wants to end the Republic. He
coulda,
doesn't
shoulda,
want
woulda.
the Empire.
Yeah, because politically, he probably believes something
I
different.
actually also think that when
So that's why
they
he
describe
probably-
him as a political idealist,
Mhm.
and I actually think, and most people disagree with this part, even if you're on board with this theory, most people disagree with me on this next point. I actually think that he is kind of a true separatist. One that's not.
Yeah,
I mean, he's.
and all the other guys there.
I actually think that Palpatine or that Dooku
really does believe in the actual separatist thing. He's in league with both sides a little bit, trying to get them to destroy each other. He wants to... The other thing is, too, if you go into the Clone Wars, a complaint I have about the Clone Wars is I think Dooku and Anakin and Obi-Wan fight way too much. Like, it's
Yeah, no, definitely.
You watch the movies and you think, oh, they met each other twice. They fight here and they fight here.
Yeah, no, there's like about 50.
They fought like a million times, and it's kind of dumb.
Yeah, because like twice as strong since we last fought. It was like
last
yesterday?
Week. Yeah,
last week. Been hitting the gym every morning, man.
Yeah, it's like I saw you like 6 days ago, Count.
Yeah, there was a kid in my high school who I don't know if he was all there, but he was just a moron in general. Him and an equal moron were going to get into a scuffle at the end of the week. So both of these kids are just little goofy little string bean kind of things. One of them, the dumber of the two, he comes into all the football workouts after school, and me and all my friends were in there, and then everybody's kind of, so Will, you're gonna have a fight at the end of the week? And he's like doing like a curl bar. He's like, yeah, man, I want to get stronger before the fight. Coming in and doing 20 curls a day, prior to. I don't know if that's gonna get you where you need to, and that's just kind of the idea that I get with what the Clone Wars established is that they're fighting so often. Like, how do they not know? How is Obi-Wan getting picked up and thrown across the room when they've done this 15 more times and that never happened before?
Right. Right. I mean, if you have a violent sword fight, throw out the lightsabers for a second. If you have a violent sword fight with somebody once a month for 3 years, somebody's gonna die. Okay, I mean, somebody's gonna get really messed up. But aside from that, I get it. It's a cartoon, and they want to, throw that in there. So that's where the Clone Wars is canon thing gets a little fuzzy because, yes, they did some cool stuff. They also did some stuff but it doesn't really match up.
They
with
were
the
really
movie.
careful about that with some other stuff though, because they never had Anakin and Grievous meet in person.
Right.
So in the movie, then it's like you're taller than I thought, you're shorter than I thought you would be, or it's like. Why would they pay attention to that? But
right. No, I agree with you. I totally agree.
They made plenty of other villains for them to
this
fight
Dooku
with every
theory,
week.
And part of it too is I love the character Count Dooku. I loved him. So part of that for me is I like this. Really gives a whole different aspect to him. But just the no Sith eyes and the revealing the story to Kenobi tells me that if nothing else, he was not fully on board with Palpatine's thing. He was trying to do his own thing. Whether it was he wanted to be the new emperor, he wanted to be the emperor. Whether it was he was a separatist true believer, whether he just wanted the chaos or just wanted the power, whatever it is. But he still, for the most part, he acts like a Jedi.
Yeah,
he is a Jedi.
Yeah,
he's just somebody that oh, hey, if I'm embracing this, if I'm going to be a double agent, I might as well learn how to do Sith lightning because that's pretty rad.
Right.
I mean, it's
not really an equivalent.
What are they going to do? Kick me out of the Jedi Order? Right. I'm going to, mess some stuff up. But, and he is very arrogant, and he thinks he can take Yoda. He thinks he can do all these things because he really does.
I think I could believe that one if the catch of it is that he just never was really any good at it at the end of being this double agent kind of soldier because he never really made too many leaps and bounds to actually overthrow the emperor. He was always kind of like a yes man.
I think the idea is that he wasn't going to make his move until after the Republic
was beaten.
Yeah, was beaten.
Okay.
I think that's kind of the idea, but he's not powerful enough. Palpatine knows this. Palpatine basically goes through saying that Dooku was never his guy, but Dooku already was a very powerful Jedi. So he's like, well, this is going to be my interim guy just in case. Because when the rule of two, you better have the two.
I mean,
you don't want to stick around
in that situation.
Dooku's older.
Dooku was older.
Yes. Yeah. Shoot, I knew this at one point.
the age of Palpatine.
Yeah.
Palpatine's around 60
Okay.
at that point, and Dooku's supposed to be 78.
And then he's like 80 in the
yeah, he's
original.
80 when he dies. Or is he 82? I
Something
think
like that.
Dooku's supposed to be 82 when Anakin kills him. He's 78 when he fights Yoda. I believe is the
Right.
how it breaks down. Or no, it'd be 78 and 81
Yeah.
is how it breaks down.
3 years in between.
But Palpatine's supposed to be around 60 there. So Palpatine is older than Dooku in Jedi.
Right.
You know,
like
and
that he's had
by
more
then. By then, but he's not
experience.
he's
like-
not older at the time.
Yeah.
You know. But that is one I really was I was on board with. One I'm not so much on board with is Anakin was created by Palpatine and Plagueis.
No.
I don't know about that one. I
This one was
heard
kicked
that.
around a lot during when Phantom Menace came out, before
Yeah,
Attack of the
because-
Clones.
Because he's like this immaculate conception Jesus type.
And the
It had
idea
to come
being
from somewhere, and that does kind of, in the whole Darth Plagueis story, it does kind of suggest like, hey, maybe this was me.
Mhm.
But in the end, I think that might be something that could be revealed in these
Well,
these upcoming movies.
Palpatine and Plagueis are obviously messing with the midi-chlorians.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
they're screwing with stuff, they're trying things out, and this idea that they did it and it, creates as virgins.
Right.
Or the idea that because of them screwing around, the midi-chlorians created this guy
Yeah.
to combat the thing that they were doing.
I've heard that theory as well. Something like I've heard of like a leak maybe from like The Last Jedi that might be the big reveal of this upcoming movie is that maybe like Snoke or something like is like Luke's grandfather in that sense. That he wasn't like the biological father of Anakin or anything, but he's the reason that he came into creation. But I don't know. I would be fine with that question never being answered. I think that's kind of cooler, just as like,
Sure.
yeah, he's like Jesus kind of. But
Yeah, I mean,
if
that's-
Jesus was just a real asshole, at the end there,
Right. Right. One quick one. There isn't a whole lot to say about this, but you hear a lot of people kind of say this. A lot of nerds say this is that Han Solo is force sensitive.
No, not at all. I think that's cool.
That it's not luck. The reason that blaster bolts just never seem to hit him. That
plot armor.
that
I just think that's good for the story.
yeah,
Yeah,
I
like-
tend to think that too.
Yeah, no, that one's a load of crap.
The one that the proof, finger quotes, proof that people throw out is when he says that the Force is a bunch of nonsense on the Millennium Falcon, that he kind of gives Kenobi a look like, yeah, we both know what's up, but really, I think he's just being an a-hole.
Yeah,
I think he's just being like, yeah, I know you buy all that crap, whatever, old man.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But here's one I do like a lot. Actually, there's two more that I really like.
If he was force sensitive, he would have known that. Even if you're not force sensitive, he should have known that his son was going to kill him.
This is adapted by some of the Star Wars board games, Star Wars miniatures, or Star Wars D&D, where Han Solo does have a force point.
Oh,
You know,
okay.
That's
Facts, like straight facts. This is where we're at.
these mics are really expensive. Otherwise, I'd drop one. No, but one I do like is that Chewbacca and R2-D2 from the beginning are secret rebel agents. We know this idea that
Well, R2D2 is.
right.
We know that.
Right. But we know that end of Revenge of the Sith. They wipe C-3PO's memory, but not R2-D2's.
Right.
So R2-D2 knows exactly who Ben Kenobi is. R2-D2 knows who Luke is. He knows why they were going there.
Yeah.
We know that R2 he's not a secret rebel agent. He actually is a rebel agent.
Right.
But this idea with Chewie, I mean, we know that Chewie was on board with Yoda. We know he's been around.
Is there ever any explanation why Ben was like, I don't remember you? It's like, dude.
This is where this comes from. Is that that R2 is a secret rebel agent, and that Obi-Wan and him aren't
revealing each other.
Oh, okay.
Because they know who they are.
Okay.
They know who each other are,
I could
but they can't reveal it because that's going to screw up the whole plan here. Bail Organa sent you. You came here to find me. Then where do they go next? They know to go to Mos Eisley. They just happen to run into Chewie, who we know is on board with the rebels, even though Han really isn't.
What kind of communication can they have like that? Like, do they just hoping every Sunday or every Tuesday we're gonna go check out Mos Eisley, and like every other Tuesday, that's when Chewie's there hanging out?
Well, I mean, but if Chewie knows that that's one of their many stops, and that we just need to be there at this time, he could make that happen.
How many times does he need to do that?
Well, but he knows it's happening now because he's a secret rebel agent. So he's being communicated with.
Like, say the Battle of Scarif is going on. Maybe they were able to send out some sort of communication out.
Right, and in essence, with this theory, it's that R2 knows he needs to go get Obi-Wan. They need off the island. They need a ride. So they're gonna meet up with Chewie, and then Chewie meets up with him because he first meets. He tells Luke that I met Chewbacca. He's the first mate on a ship, and then they go convince Han that this is how it's gonna go down.
Han will do anything for money, and it's like at that point they're thinking like, well, yeah, we'll get that money easy, you know.
And Luke's trying to convince Han. Han and Luke are going back and forth. Obi-Wan's just kind of there though. He knows it's gonna happen. He's not concerned with all this. So it's like this charade that Chewie and R2 and Kenobi are ignoring, in essence, that we know we're all going to get on this ship eventually. And like, we thought 10,000 would be the good thing. Like, no, I'll give you 17. I'll give you 50. Whatever, it doesn't matter. And Chewie's going to be on board and it's all good. So this idea that, and also the reason where the secret comes in is that they never talk about it. Chewie's on board with the rebels from day one.
Because the less they know, the better.
Kenobi's on board with the rebels. R2's on board with the rebels, but they're not talking about it.
That could be something that could maybe be explored. Like if they ever end up doing a standalone Obi-Wan, I could see that kind of being played out. That there is some sort of communication because, that seems pretty possible. I don't know that if I buy that completely because, like, then, it's like, what day do they know to show up and how do they know that, the urgency that they're going to need? Because, like, when they show up, they're, like, really lucky that, because everybody's looking everywhere for them, and then, like, they're hanging at the table, then the troopers come by and then they're not there anymore and there's, what you're looking for, So, like, they had either perfect timing or they're telling them, like, hey, every 20 minutes, come check this place out. Unless they were to, like, maybe prove that, like, hey, after the Battle of Scarif, they're like, hey, like, you're going to be our backup guy. You hang out here. Because I imagine that all happens in, like, kind of the same-ish week, Because, like, the Battle of Scarif happens, the Tantive 4 takes off, gets attacked over Tatooine. Then they launch, because they were going to Tatooine to go pick up Obi-Wan.
Right.
So, Obi-Wan probably has some contact. He's like, they're coming to get you. But then, like, he finds out, like, okay, it didn't work out too well. Because there's a deleted scene where Luke says, like, I saw a spaceship battle up there or something,
Right.
So I'm assuming Obi-Wan knows it. So I could see that completely. And then that they contacted Chewbacca's like, get there now. Which wouldn't make any sense for why would Han be there because that Jabba's there.
But if Chewie says, hey, we got a job.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also he's
that's what I'm saying is that Han wouldn't want to be there by himself. He's like he would have to be convinced to go there. And it's like, well, okay, hey, however, a Wookiee would tell him that how many roars it would take. That they would go over there and kind of just hang out in the bar for after this battle that went down, because that's probably sweeping the galaxy news of like the first victory.
The only thing that happens in the beginning of Episode 1 that puts any distance between Rogue One and Episode 4, I think say, sorry. The only thing that puts any potential distance at all is how long the droids were kidnapped by the Jawas. Because in essence,
everything else happened like a day.
Yeah, Uncle Owen
buys the droids in the afternoon.
Yeah, you
know,
could
in the evening, and the
probably
next
that.
morning
Mhm.
they go looking for R2 and find
Yeah.
Obi-Wan. So that all happens pretty quick,
In like a
and we know
3-day,
from Rogue
4-day
One
period, maybe.
that it's directly after
Right.
after it. So it all takes place pretty quickly.
I can definitely buy into that one.
Another one that goes along with Tatooine right then
Mm.
is okay. Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru are murdered, right?
Mhm.
And you get this idea. Okay, well, who killed them? You're kind of like it's stormtroopers, right?
It's Boba Fett.
Yeah, it's Boba Fett. Exactly.
I've heard that one. That'd be pretty cool.
To me, it makes perfect sense. All right, so there's this bounty
Mhm.
out on these people.
Yeah, and he says
it's on the airwaves.
no disintegration. They're just bones after that. Like, I mean, they were
Right.
probably set on fire, but he's got a wrist thing.
But we know that the stormtroopers follow orders.
Mhm.
We know that they do what they're told. If Anakin / Darth Vader wanted his stepbrother and stepsister-in-law killed,
Mhm.
they're living in the same house
Yeah,
for
his
the last
mom-
30 years.
Yeah, his mom
If he
died
wanted to
at-
send some errant stormtroopers over to take out Owen and Beru,
Mhm.
it's no big deal. But Vader, in this theory, Vader doesn't want to kill Owen and Beru. He never did. He never wanted to kill them. Otherwise, they'd be dead. They're easy pickings.
Well,
So-
I just think that it wasn't anything relevant to him. I could see like that when they go and find them. I could see him maybe being like, "Yeah, they were weak. They're the reason that my mother was killed because they couldn't protect her."
Mhm.
I could see that sort of
But
thing. Like,
we know,
take him away.
we
you
know from the special edition that Boba Fett
It's-
is randomly on Tatooine.
Yeah.
He is there. Boba Fett is on Tatooine while this happens. They come back. Have you ever seen stormtroopers disintegrate anyone?
No, they
It's-
suck at everything.
Yeah, that's that's never been a thing. And then the very next time Vader sees Boba Fett, bygones, sure, but what's he tell him? No disintegrations. Like, we've had problems with this before. I want people taken out,
That'd be
and
pretty
you're
good.
disintegrating people. So Owen and Beru weren't killed by stormtroopers.
That'd
They're
be-
killed by Boba Fett.
And it's heavy, you know.
Yeah, I mean, Boba Fett is there. It's there. He takes them out, and Luke comes back. Okay, everything's gone. There isn't a battalion of stormtroopers waiting.
Yeah,
Boba Fett got there first because he's
Stormtroopers are
better
just-
than the stormtroopers.
Yeah.
And he got there first. He did it, and now he's already moving on to the next thing. Still searching for, searching for Luke. In essence, so I'm on board with this one.
I'm
completely.
definitely on board with that. That like,
Adam.
if anything, that'd just be cooler, and that would make Boba Fett not seem like such a loser.
Yeah.
You know, if that
No,
was
I love
canon.
Boba Fett, but I realize that some people are like, "What did he actually do?"
He didn't do anything.
Yeah.
He shot at Luke once.
Yep.
In Cloud City, he shot at him.
Yep. He's the only one that knows Luke's sneaking around. Everyone else is.
He tied him up in Return of the Jedi, and then he got thrown into the Starlight Pit.
Yeah,
that was it.
he got knocked into a Starlight Pit by a blind guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, not that
He,
impressive.
he had pretty cool helmet though. Like
He had a cool helmet. He had a cool jetpack.
Do you know what's funny is the Star Wars theory by the nerds back in the day, in between Empire and Jedi,
Mhm.
was that Boba Fett was Anakin. That was the big theory.
Oh, really?
That was going
like when the movies were coming out.
when from 1980 to 1983, that is the big theory, is that no, they were wrong. Vader is not Anakin, like he tells him. That no, Anakin's sneaking around. He's Boba Fett. He's there. He's sneaking around, and he's going to reveal himself and be a good guy again.
Right.
Was the big thing, and then Boba Fett just gets punked in the first 15 minutes of Jedi, and they're like, oh, I guess not. Which George Lucas later said, hey, I thought Boba Fett was cool. He's a cool looking character, but if I had any idea people were going to like him that much, I wouldn't have him die that way. He completely came out and said he was like, I just thought it was a cool suit, and he was like a very minor character, and that's about it. But Okay, we got a few more that we're gonna bust through real quick, and then because we're running short on time here. But Qui-Gon was a Sith. Anybody?
No.
Qui-Gon was a secret Sith.
Little crap. No, he's a great Jedi. Whatever.
Doesn't make any. Yeah, that doesn't make any sense.
Well, like
Beautiful hair like that.
Yeah.
They don't allow for that.
Yeah, he was in league with Dooku.
all
Dooku was so certain that Qui-Gon would come to his side.
Hairless or dirty gray. Like
Yeah.
they can't have flowing locks of like
and it's
of mane.
and it's Liam Neeson. The only time Liam Neeson is going to be a bad guy is when he's Ra's al Ghul
Right.
in
Yeah.
Batman.
Right.
So.
Right. Yeah. They part of this has to do with Xanatos. You familiar with that character at all?
Mm,
In non-canon, Xanatos was Qui-Gon's student before Obi-Wan,
yeah.
who did go to the dark side
Yeah.
as well.
I
So he
did
has
actually
this
read.
this dark side connection.
Yeah, I did actually read a few of those books.
Here's kind of a fun one that we know something about the Ewoks. We something about the Ewoks that people tend to glaze over because they're so cute and cuddly. Is not only did they topple the Empire, but the Ewoks were going to eat Han and Luke and Chewie. I mean, this is like that was going to happen.
They were going to cook them up.
Right,
I'm pretty sure they ate a lot of the stormtroopers.
And this is the theory: is that at the end when they're playing the drums on the stormtrooper helmets, the Ewoks ate the stormtroopers. This is.
I don't see any prisoners towards the end.
No, you just see a bunch of empty helmets and a bunch of full Ewoks. I mean, they just fought a battle. They're hungry, and I don't see.
What do you think their promise?
What was the feast? And did Luke and Lando and Han partake? I was wondering.
What was the promise that they did to the little villagers? That they're hey, help us fight all these guys. They're not really bothering you much. They just have their section of the woods.
Right.
They're not kicking you out of your homes. Come help us beat them, and then. Everything will just be fine. No, they were probably giving like all these prisoners, all that sort of thing.
See that army over there? Help us out. Dinner's on us. You know what I'm saying, Wicket?
Yeah, that's like the darker, more extremist,
Yeah,
side.
You know what, man? Chief Trooper doesn't have to know. Hey, Paplu, you hungry? What's up, man? Come on, let's do this.
The extremist, dark side of the rebellion that they don't want to show you.
Yeah, look at Logray over there with that stick. I know he's hungry.
That's how they convinced all of them.
Yeah, it could be.
God.
Very well could be.
Yeah, it's gruesome.
Is Finn Force sensitive?
No, not at all.
Okay.
He's just a pussy, honestly.
Okay.
No, I honestly like that character. I'm sure you're probably going to say that you don't like him.
I didn't dislike Finn as a character. I thought he was useless. And I thought he was useless, and like the big reveal in the episode 8 trailer was like, "Oh, Finn's still alive." I was just like, "Well, who cares?" I don't want him to be dead. I don't want it's like. Yeah, whatever. He's like he was cool, I guess. But the theory being that Finn is Force sensitive when they talk about the awakening in the Force in Force Awakens. Nothing has happened with Rey at this point.
Right.
The only thing that's happened is Finn has had his moment where he,
escaped. Kind
of.
Yeah.
So he kind of escaped the programming. So a lot of people are saying that no, Finn will be revealed to be Force sensitive later. And
if that is, that's not like a big surprise.
Yeah, the Force Awakening was not Rey; it was in Finn. Is this idea? I don't really care. I think it'd be kind of silly, but I think Finn is supposed to be kind of the Han Solo of these movies.
I would say that it's probably Poe is probably filling that role. And then
I thought Poe was like Wedge that talked too much.
Maybe. I don't know. I think that they're kind of grooming Poe. Like Poe originally was going to be just a very minor character who died in that first movie when he crashed. But then people started like, "Oh, this guy! I can't think of the actor's name, but I really like that actor."
We're paying him too much in this movie to just die in the first scene.
Right. So I think that he's kind of going to serve like as the Han Solo, like hotshot, kind of cool guy sort of thing, and then Finn's just going to be like the resident puss who kind of comes into his own after like a story arc.
Right. Is Finn in essence going to
C-3PO.
be is Finn in essence going to be the Princess Leia of these movies? I mean, seriously, since Princess Leia was a cool character, but in the girl is the main character
Mhm.
in these ones. So is the role reversal now? Finn is in us. You know, if Rey is the Luke of these is Finn the Princess Leia?
Maybe he's kind of like a hybrid role, kind of, because I know that he's going to have a pretty big role in the Last Jedi, but it's going to be pretty similar in like Empire in that they're off doing their separate things.
Sure.
So Finn, I know, is supposed to be partnered up with this new character that they're introducing, and they're going to be off doing like their own kind of mission thing. So I think that he probably won't be the maybe he won't be as much of the resident puss in this movie.
Sure.
But you know, he'll be kind of like a Luke character, but without any importance.
Well, and I know you're saying he's a puss, and I can't really disagree, because I know he's kind of always wanting to get away from the fight, but he really is kind of doing it for like sissy reasons. Where like Han Solo was avoiding the fight, but it wasn't because he was a sissy.
Yeah,
it was because like F this noise. It's like this is what I signed up for,
and that's why I wouldn't equate him to that. I think that he could eventually turn into something like that, but he's kind of like that hybrid kind of like unexpected hero that in the end, he did come back and he did want to help out. So he's kind of that reluctant, kind of Luke-ish character.
I got one last one and I really like this one a lot. In fact, this one I'm sold on and I'm on board with it. And then if we want to wrap up after that with some other little things of Brad or Adam, if you guys got some more. But the last one is, Luke's lightsaber. In Return of the Jedi lightsaber now. We're not talking Anakin and Rey's lightsaber. We're, his original one that they somehow found in Cloud City, but whatever. We're not I'm not trying to rip on Force Awakens again. But, Luke's lightsaber.
That's a story for another time, okay? We're going to figure it out.
All right, Luke's lightsaber is green. Luke has a green lightsaber. The thing was that after Luke loses his lightsaber in Empire, that he goes back to, in the books, he goes back to Obi-Wan's hut.
It's Qui-Gon's.
It's Qui-Gon's. Yeah, I mean, it's... Have you heard this one at all, Adam? I mean, this has got to be why... Obi-Wan's never used a blue lightsaber, or he's always used a blue lightsaber. Anakin always used a blue lightsaber. They seem to kind of favor the blue thing. But why would Obi-Wan have a random green lightsaber crystal hanging out in his hut?
And why wouldn't Luke just...
Because it's Qui-Gon's.
Well, why wouldn't Luke just use that lightsaber,
Well, because that's part of your Jedi's training.
I guess, but like that's hard,
but, or did Obi-Wan take it apart years ago?
Could have.
He took it apart and just put it together and left a little thing. Saying
maybe like some instructions or something.
That's what it's in the books.
That's what it kind of suggests.
They talk about that he has there's one crystal and some instructions on how to make it. And
why wouldn't he have Qui-Gon's?
He does have Qui-Gon.
I know, but that's I agree. I can get on board with this too.
Yeah, it makes.
And my question for those who don't, believe in this is why wouldn't Obi-Wan not have it?
Right, he would, right?
I mean, it's perfectly plausible too that it just got lost. But if anybody was going to have it, you would think it'd be Obi-Wan.
The only real reason I could think against that is because the movie was written afterwards. Like they probably just didn't think about that sort of thing. Probably everything can be retconned, and Ben doesn't.
Almost all these are retconned in some way, shape, or form.
I wish we could have George Lucas on here to. Hey, this is what happened.
Well, right. Yeah.
This one with Luke's lightsaber is Qui-Gon's crystal. I feel like the naysayers have no leg to stand on in this one.
There's no reason that it wouldn't be.
It's got to be. Why would Obi-Wan have a green lightsaber crystal? You don't get more than one as a Jedi. You have to go back to Ilum. But Qui-Gon was his master. He would have kept that as a keepsake for all this time. And then Luke either took it apart or Obi-Wan took it apart years ago because he just thought, oh, good, maybe he needed the metal. He's
Cash for gold.
Yeah, he's stuck on Tatooine,
Credits are no good there, So.
Or maybe he did it to hide it, to smuggle it in somewhere or something, was to, put this crystal in a box or, something along those lines. But to me, that's just something when you look at Luke's lightsaber, that's Qui-Gon's crystal in there. Because Luke never goes to Ilum. They make that very clear. He doesn't go find a lightsaber crystal. He goes back to Obi-Wan's hut and rifles through his
his stuff and
Right.
gets this, this other crystal. And yeah, maybe he did just take it apart and like, oh, I have to construct my own lightsaber. That's part of a Jedi's training. So I'll take apart this one and start from scratch. Or maybe I'll just take it like mostly apart.
Yeah.
Like,
They can do like half the work.
yeah, exactly. Come on, I got a rebellion to fight.
Right.
But anyway, I mean, you guys got a favorite Star Wars theory? You guys got anything else you want to throw out there?
I mean, I think that covers pretty much most of them. I can't really think of any other ones besides like maybe this new character that's going to be introduced in The Last Jedi that Benicio del Toro is playing is Ezra from Rebels. Or that. Other than that, I can't really think of too many others because that's pretty all-encompassing. All the big ones, anyway, that we just went over.
You know what? One I actually forgot to touch on when we were talking Snoke is I actually think Snoke is Ezra.
Okay.
And the
What's
other,
that?
I think that he kind of falls to the dark side, disappears, fades away, and also the Knights of Ren, who is Ezra in love with. He's in love with Sabine Wren from the show. If Sabine falls and has some like untimely death, which then sends Ezra off the deep end into the dark side and into hiding, then he could have the Knights of Ren
I could see
as a thing. Yes, I realize it's spelled differently.
I mean, I'm gonna go ahead and say that's probably not it.
It's probably not. It's just the one I like the best.
Right. I mean, that'd be pretty cool. But,
Yeah, it's one I came up with, so I kind of like it. But it's really I don't have a better. I don't have a YouTube video out there that says it better than even the Crazy Princess Leia one.
That when Ezra's bitching about this thing,
Right.
that he's being annoying. You can tell that
right, that he's about to be Snoke, obviously.
draw the triangles in between his arm, the Illuminati kind of.
But we had a new section? Adam,
Yeah,
a brief
yeah,
one?
yeah,
Let's do Around the Empire with Adam.
A little in keeping with this Star Wars theme tonight, the Han Solo movie just lost its directors. Phil Lord and Christopher Miller
Really?
are reportedly off Star Wars' their spin-off film because of creative differences, according to Hollywood Reporter, or The Hollywood Reporter, in which case the picture began shooting early in 2017 and still has weeks left of production. So, yeah, a little bit of a setback there with the new Star Wars movie. So
That seems just like all too common these days that a lot of big budget movies are just losing their directors, and that's just probably from studio interference, but I have zero interest in seeing this movie.
the new Han Solo one?
Yeah.
It's just
His story's,
Han Solo is one of my favorite characters ever.
his story's been told, it's like, but what about when he was young? It's like, well, he's probably,
Does it really
he's probably pretty cool then too,
It's not going to be the same too without Harrison Ford playing.
Yeah.
No, it's not. I completely agree with you guys. I'm going to see this movie opening night.
Yeah, of course.
And it might be cool.
It's
I
good.
love Han Solo. The only saving grace for The Force Awakens for me was Han Solo, honestly. And, Han Solo was always my favorite character as a kid. I don't get it. It won't be Harrison Ford. I'm not opposed to them doing it, but to me, the idea that they threw out the idea of a Boba Fett movie, which to me would be awesome, and you got Ewan McGregor sitting at home begging people to do an Obi-Wan movie, and they won't do it. Which to me, that bummed me out that he killed Darth Maul in the show, because I was hoping that would happen in the movie.
That could have been
I wanted Ray Park and Ewan McGregor to face off one more time.
that would have been really cool.
And you know what, too? River Phoenix is dead. So nobody else can play young Harrison Ford. Right? So,
Okay, one more quick Star Wars theory that we won't discuss, but have you ever thought that perhaps the Indiana Jones movies are Han Solo's dreams while he's in Carbonite?
Those are much smaller,
interesting.
much less grand in scale than being in space. What if I was just on this really shitty planet where there were people that hate each other even though they're all exactly the same?
Oh, maybe it was kind of like back home or something.
Yeah.
Or, maybe back home in Korea.
Although the Third Reich is very
reminiscent.
It has its similarities
Definitely.
to the Empire. So.
You guys ever seen the old Star Wars Tales comic where the Millennium Falcon crash lands and
Han gets killed by some natives or something.
Yeah, Han is killed, and Chewbacca starts wandering the forest for 100 years or so because he's so long lived.
Right.
And then,
Bigfoot?
yeah, Han, and then Indiana Jones
Jones
goes looking for Bigfoot and finds Chewie.
Finds a like the skeleton of Han with like the vest on, and like Chewie like recognizes him for some reason. Like he looks really familiar, you know.
But cool way to have Indiana Jones and Chewie have an adventure together.
Yeah.
Let's see what else we have here. Republican Karen Handel wins Georgia's 6th congressional district over 30-year-old Democrat John Ossoff.
Well, he was really favored, wasn't he? Or at least they were hyping him up to be.
Sorta.
Yeah, they're hyping him up. It's still Georgia,
Mm-hmm.
and he was still running for a Republican seat. So
Yeah, that seat hadn't been controlled by
it's the Carter administration.
a long time, 40 years.
Let's see. Trump seems like he's starting to grow a little impatient with China when it comes to North Korea. This comes after Otto Warmbier was basically
Worst name ever.
Is
yeah,
it?
it's kind of a bad.
Is that
name,
his?
isn't it?
That's his actual name?
Yeah.
Yeah, Warmbier.
Otto Warmbier. Yeah. After he was basically, I'm assuming, beaten to a vegetative state by North Korea.
Right.
Sent
Maybe
home,
like a
where he just-
electroshock or something.
Yeah, where he just died. I believe it was yesterday, but I'm not a big Trump fan,
Yeah.
but
No, I know. I know
It's-
neither one of us voted for Trump, Adam, but
No.
I'm with him on this one. I'm about done with North Korea.
but yeah, how long are we gonna?
How far can they go before we have to just like it's like a little yipping dog? Like how long do you let it bark before you
Yeah,
just
really
kind of
just-
smack it in the nose?
You know what, Brad? I agree with you completely. It's just when it comes to North Korea, just how long are we going to put up with these guys?
Yeah.
You know, I mean,
They
and if you
have
want to
real
ignore them,
allies.
and if you want to ignore them, fine. But then, like, legit ignore them.
Mhm.
Just be like, listen, that's their country over there. Fine, do your thing, whatever. But really, just when are we gonna bitch slap this country?
Like, yeah, I don't want to get, militarily involved with anybody really, but I mean, if they're just allowed to kill an American citizen for whatever BS reason they came up with, like
for
what,
taking a
poster?
propaganda poster off the wall.
Mhm.
Yeah.
If they can, then anyone can, right? And can we have that? You know?
Yeah, like, I mean, while I don't suggest mobilizing the whole Navy or whatever over one person, it's still like it's an American citizen and something needs to be done. I don't know if that means
Oh,
like
and just China could take care of this if they wanted to,
yeah,
and they
why
won't. I mean, we could. Come on. This is really is. I kind of I am. I'm with Trump on this. Where it's like, listen, China, are you our friend or our enemy?
Right.
Which one is it? Because you can.
Which is more important to you, the most powerful country in the world or your old communist alliance that doesn't even share any values that you share now as you
The thing
drifted away?
in North Korea, they're not even communist.
No.
They're not. They're
They're just complete dictatorship.
Yeah, they play totalitarian.
They've got their own ideology. It's the Junch ideology, and it's total self-reliance.
Mhm.
That's the entire ideology behind it.
Yeah.
And they starve.
Is there communist overtones? Sure. Are there some fascist overtones? Yep, those two. There's just we got to be done with these guys. I mean, let's put it this way: if a Chinese citizen was beaten or murdered in Guam, we'd do something about it.
Mhm.
We would do something about it. If they were,
Especially by the government,
right? I mean, if they were taken out by by officials in the Virgin Islands, even if it was the British Virgin Islands or the Dutch Virgin Islands, I mean, there's American Virgin Islands. Those people are born American citizens,
right.
we are. But I mean, if this happened, there'd be problems. If it was a country that we're funding, which there's a whole bunch of them out there, if it was a country and they did this to a Chinese citizen, we would do something about it, and we would be on China's side. We might not be on China's side if they said, "Okay, we're going to nuke them." Like, oh, hold up, but
we would be on their side.
No,
We'd say,
it's-
no,
it's-
China, we need some justice for this kid, and we need to do something about this.
I'm not. You know what? I'm not even so much looking for this kid that died. He's just a piece of the puzzle.
Sure.
I mean, you go, but just from a human rights standpoint, North Korea is the definition of a human rights disaster.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I mean, Otto Warmbier is a like I said, he's a small piece of the puzzle. And you know what? And in some ways, I blame him and his family because you know what?
Should have
You
gone.
go to North Korea.
What do you expect?
You kind of know what you may be getting
For sure.
yourself into.
For sure. Yeah, and I don't want to I don't want to downplay the tragedy that his family's
Yeah.
gone
you
through.
know,
but,
you know what? It's horrible.
but no, it is. But no, why the hell would you go to North Korea? Why the hell would you go there?
You know, and again, I don't
You
want
either want to die or you're Dennis Rodman.
You
I
know,
mean, that's
it's-
it. I mean, that's
It's kind of. I'm sorry. I know this is a touchy subject, especially with Republicans, but the Benghazi thing. It seems like everybody is surprised that Americans died in Benghazi. Like they're making it out to be like it's a
like it was Pittsburgh.
like it's a sandals resort or something too.
Right. I mean, they're just fighting in the streets.
It's Benghazi.
right.
You know, shit like that is prone to happen there, and just like in North Korea, shit like that is prone to happen. They're going to look for any reason whatsoever, especially if you're an American, to jail you.
Right. No, I mean, in my problems, if I've ever criticized Hillary for Benghazi, it's because she lied about it.
Yeah.
I mean, when it comes to
it
people
was a video that
dying
caused a protest.
in
you know.
Benghazi, I mean, that does.
Like, that's
I
not
hate
a
to
complete-
downplay it like this, but shit happens.
Mhm.
You know, I mean, like Adam is saying, these
One-
are not nice places of the planet.
While that is true, one of the biggest issues with Benghazi was that there were soldiers capable of, in a CIA compound a mile away that were capable of going in and rescuing
It was mismanaged, and then it was lied about.
Yeah.
That's
So I think it's mostly the mismanagement. I don't know if anybody's really thinking that Benghazi is nice. I think a lot of people do downplay the fact that it's a war zone there.
it's a hellhole.
It's not good. That there's not stability in the streets anywhere in that whole city.
No.
But I do think that people do have kind of a right to be mad about that sort of thing. That there was so much
Oh, they have a right to get mad.
so
over
much
it.
just
But you know what I say to that? Get over it.
it's
Get over it.
At
been a
this
while now.
point, yeah, I mean,
Get over it.
no, I mean,
she lost, so
I
everybody's
could see you crying about
can
Benghazi
move on. I
if
guess.
she was president of the United States. She's not, so she lost. That's one thing Republicans really need to.
Pull up the trousers. And,
Yeah, you need to get a hold of yourself here. Hillary lost. Okay, there's nothing. Hillary can't hurt you anymore. Hillary is an old retired woman now.
You don't know that. She
A couple of other things here.
born from the fire.
Senate panel rejects Trump's plan to privatize air traffic control. So it looks like that's going to.
Why? Like why? I don't understand it. Wouldn't it be more efficient this way?
Let's see.
Privatized?
Here. I'm trying to get some reason behind it without totally going into it. Let's see. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. They just
Yeah.
wanna.
No, this is what I'm about to say, because I know we don't have really have time to go into it. What I'm about to say is very non-libertarian of me, and we all know that I'm the card-carrying libertarian, small L, of this show. But believe it or not, I'm actually not nearly as opposed to government control as I am to government regulation. If the government was really gonna take control of these things, it's fine. But if you're just going to try to regulate the hell out of it, but then still
just
not
ruin
take
it all
credit,
around.
then it ought to be privatized. It'll run better. It'll be cheaper for all of us. It'll be better. The private market will bring down costs and will make it more efficient and better. It truly will. But I'm not pretending to know all the details about this. So I'm not. I'm really not.
Let's see. Nazi artifacts found behind a secret bookcase in Argentina. Police reportedly raided the home of an art collector and found a door leading to a room of Nazi-owned items.
The boys in Brazil, wasn't it? Or
Including medical devices, knives, and a bust of Adolf Hitler. So,
Yikes, man!
Yeah.
That was big down in Argentina, though. Man, that was
it's where they all fled to,
big
wasn't it?
Nazi stronghold.
Yep, definitely.
Everybody's favorite Madonna movie. What was the chick she played?
Evita.
Evita. Yeah, I mean Evita was a big time Nazi sympathizer.
Oh, was she?
Big time.
Is Madonna a Nazi sympathizer?
She might be. Yes, I think she is indirectly.
Maybe if that's the flavor of the month, then
Right? Yeah, exactly.
she
If
might be, but-
it's Kabbalah, it's Wesley Clark, it's
Spanish guys
yeah.
and
Did you guys hear about all the guys that lined up at her house the morning after the election, wanting their blowjobs?
Did she promise that?
She promised a blowjob to anyone that would vote for Hillary. In the morning after the election, a bunch of guys were camped outside her house.
God.
Like, I voted for Hillary. Let's do this.
got a picture of my
Yeah.
my voting sheet here,
Psycho.
or my ballot.
Gross.
One last thing here. Dan Gilbert is receiving heavy backlash for letting GM David Griffin go. According to reports, Griffin's resigning stemmed from a difference of an opinion regarding the franchise's future and Gilbert's openness to trade all-star point guard Kyrie Irving. However, many are bashing Gilbert for not consulting LeBron James before letting go of Griffin. So, looks like Dan Gilbert has pretty much sealed the deal when it comes to LeBron James bolting Cleveland after this upcoming season. So, you know what? In all fairness, though, it looks LeBron James probably was going to be gone anyway, but this probably was the last straw when it came to that. So
If the situation's not perfect for LeBron, he's just Audi 5000, isn't he?
Well, I mean, after this, this finals.
The finals, man.
I don't believe. Well, he's lost more finals than he's won. I think it wasn't it? Because he's gone with the Cavs a few times, and he went with the Heat, then he went with the Cavs again, and.
the first time he went with the Cavs, though, it was him and nobody.
Yeah.
No, it really was.
Well, and then going up against the Warriors this year, like that's
it's not like
the best bought team in the history of it. That with Kevin Durant. Like,
but they weren't bought though. Yes, they did.
They got KD,
Durant.
but they were homegrown. Other than that,
well, that's the thing. I feel like that team would have been so much more if it didn't have KD, because that's where the straw that broke the camel's back is that they had like their own homegrown.
But it was the homegrown aspect that brought Kevin Durant to.
I guess, but it seems like they jumped a hole.
When it came to Miami, Dwayne Wade had to bring in LeBron James, and he had to bring in, who was the other guy?
Chris Paul.
No, he never played for Miami.
Oh no, it's not Chris Paul. It was
Bosh.
Yes, Chris Bosh.
Yeah, it's Chris Bosh. That's what I meant to say.
Yeah, he had to bring in those two players in order to win it. I mean, there was no other really homegrown aspect to that team.
No, not at all.
Not anybody that contributed to them winning a championship, but
they're supposed to still be winning championships according to LeBron and D Wade from back then.
But like I said,
they're gonna win 8. Wasn't that the big prediction?
Yeah, I can't remember.
6 championships, 7, 8 championships.
That's all I have, though.
That's it for Around the Empire with Adam. Thank you for that, Adam. This has been the conclusion of our Star Wars Theories episodes. I hope this wasn't too nerdy for our regular viewers, but this is a show we've been dying to do for a while, to really break it down. You will be able to hear Brad Davis soon, hopefully on his own podcast, hopefully right here on theempiremedia.com.
Yeah,
is the idea. We're gonna break out some of that soon. He's still working out the kinks on his show, but that is going to happen. And hopefully that show, like I said, will happen right here on theempiremedia.com. Will be available in all the cool places that you can find us. We will be back, Adam and I, next week, same time, for a regular show. And also stay tuned for next month when our next Deep Issues will be
Project Blue.
Bluebeam.
Very cool. You know anything about Project Blue Bean?
No, what is
Brad?
it?
Oh, Project Blue Bean. You're gonna have to tune in. But this has been fun tonight. Thanks. Tune in next week, and I'd like to have Brad on in the future too, because
Love to be back.
Brad knows a ton about Star Wars. We could have him on for a lot of different reasons, and like I said, you're gonna have a chance to hear him on his own show. But
Love UFC. You know,
Yeah,
when
but-
Conor McGregor and Floyd Mayweather ends up happening, that'd be a great one. You know?
yeah, probably better for the Matrix Live. Our show here
Okay.
on the EmpireMedia.com that Adam produces as well. I'd love to have you on and talk about DC Comics stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Because actually,
that.
as much as Brad knows about Star Wars, you probably know more about DC Comics, don't you? I mean, or up there
I'd
on
say
par
it's-
with anyway.
It's around about the same.
No,
yeah.
Brad is he's a DC whiz.
A closeted nerd, you know.
Yeah,
I'll
no,
say.
he's been a closet nerd his whole life, and it's time to come out of the closet, Brad. But thanks to everybody for tuning in. Let us know what your favorite Star Wars theory is. Let us know if you dug this show. Maybe we'll bust out some other theories, because I'd love to break down the many Joker theories, Batman Joker theories, Heath Ledger theories. Those are always great. Definitely don't have time for that tonight, though. But thanks everybody for tuning in. It's been fun. See ya.